Hello, this is the AM News Bulletin on the AM Show live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, on Facebook, X Spaces, and on YouTube. Let's start with the details. Doctors at Tamale Teaching Hospital are on strike. The group is protesting the dismissal of its CEO by Health Minister Kwabena Akandoh. The doctors say they have suspended all emergency and outpatient services. And here's what that statement says in response to the sack letter. And that statement will be on your screen shortly. It says that press release following the earlier press release today, the Doctors Association of Tamale Teaching Hospital held an emergency General Assembly meeting at 12 noon, and the outcome of the meeting is as follows. So with immediate effect, all members of that have proceeded on an indefinite suspension of all emergency and outpatient services. That is general OPD, antenatal clinic, specialist clinic, and pediatric services. But it goes on to say they are making particular demands. First, they are asking that the minister renders an unqualified apology to the CEO of the hospital. They're saying that Honorable Al-Hassan Saibu Suini should be rendered, an apology should be rendered to him, to Dr. Valentina Kupua, all doctors of the Tamale Teaching Hospital and staff of the Accident and Emergency Department. And they're also saying that they will resume provision of emergency and outpatient services after they receive appropriate apologies. So it's very pivotal that they get that apology. And so they go on to say the management of the hospital should ensure that the following are available in the short term. 1, constant flow of water through the taps for clinical work. 2, stable electricity supply in the hospital. 3, constant supply of oxygen. Provision of consumable items such as gloves, gauze, cotton, face mask, cannula, sutures, syringes, disinfectants, and etc. They're also asking for a number of things, really. 4 ventilators at the Accident and Emergency Department, and the list goes on. And they're saying that in the medium term, the following must be provided to facilitate their work. They're asking for an MRI scan machine that does not use helium. They're asking for a CT scan machine that has an infusion pump. They're asking for a mammography machine, a fluoroscopy machine, a CR machine, ABG machines in all intensive care units. And these demands, they're saying, if are not met, they will not resume or call off that strike. And this is all in response to that sacking of the CEO of the Tamale Teaching Hospital. We'll bring you more details when we get to our big story segment. So you want to stay with us and we get this incisive with the issues there. But in other stories, National Youth Organizer of the new Patriotic Party, Salah Mustafa, is demanding an apology from President John Dramani Mahama to Ghanaians over his failure to tackle the Galamsey menace since his return to power earlier this year. He's also accused members of the governing National Democratic Congress, who criticized former President Akufo-Addo of failing to solve the menace, as now being heavily involved in illegal mining activities. Speaking to the regional youth organizers of the NPP at the party's headquarters, Salah Mustafa said NDC's attitude towards its own campaign promises should not be countenanced.
First time in our history, a minister of state can sit on national TV and cry in despair because he cannot handle a job that has been given him. The minister of lands and natural resources sits on TV and weep like a baby because he cannot flush out illegal miners doing illegal mining in places that are designated for non-mining. They cannot. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo put his presidency on the line, and it came with a huge cost to the new Patriotic Party that we lost in mining areas because of the dedicated fight against illegal mining. Today, the very people who were shouting on rooftops, who were veneers of propaganda, accused Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, hanged it on him, called him names, who knew all the solutions, today are found wanting. Sadly, you can see NDC operatives heckling state security apparatus in full display of the public, and these people are not picked up. They are allowed to go and continue their mining because they are members of the NDC. But the same security apparatus can quickly go and arrest an innocent and armed young man because he made a post that says, "Rest well, Your Excellency." The state machinery in Gestapo style went after him, picked him up and kept him for 2 nights and took him to court and charged him just because of a Facebook post. But those who were able, mustered courage to stop military convoy are walking free. That is the kind of state in which we are living today. If this is not sad, I don't know what else it can be. If this is not a deterioration of the state of Ghana, I don't know what more it can be.
He also accused the Mahama-led government of deceiving Ghanaians with their 24-hour economic policy, which he describes as a fiasco.
We, the youth of the new Patriotic Party, know that indeed, with time, everyone will come to appreciate the work Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has done. Even though today, the lofty promises that the NDC made that fell so sweet in the ears of Ghanaians and many of my compatriot youth today are all falling apart. The very famous promise of a 24-hour economy has turned nothing but a fiasco as far as this government is concerned. It was a promise of Adanko Adada Adoi. Quite sadly, for a matter that touches on the prospects of the young people in our country, the NDC will find it so easy to throw out as far as implementation is concerned after having won a massive victory. Sadly, we were hoping to see that the NDC would implement a 24-hour economy within the first 120 days in office and also in their first budget statement. None of it is coming to fruition. And by extrapolation, I can state emphatically, in the next 4 years, we will not see a 24-hour economy with 1 job, 3 people, and 3 shifts. It will not happen. This shows the level of deception that the NDC engaged in as far as the electioneering was concerned. It was all for votes and nothing else. I think and I believe that this NDC administration needs to render an unqualified apology to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the NPP. Even though they are still in the very early periods of their governance, the early signs clearly show that they are not going to do anything far in excess of what Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia government did. If track record is anything to go by, the previous government created over 1.3 million jobs. Today, the very people who canvassed on a 24-hour economy to provide jobs for young people are rather dismissing people who were rightfully employed. I want to assure all the thousands of young people who have been retrenched, who have been sacked for no reason of theirs, that they should have hope. The new Patriotic Party would win elections and we will do right to them. We will not forsake them.
The Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining is asking Lands and Natural Resources Minister Emmanuel Amakufibua to broaden the crackdown on illegal mining, not to focus solely on Akuntam Mining Limited, but to pursue all companies and individuals engaged in the destructive practice. Convener, Engineer Kenneth Ashigbe, tells Joy News the minister must go after all companies identified to be destroying the environment.
If you look into the issues of heritage Imperial as well, who were giving exploratory licenses that were alleged to have gotten themselves involved in mining itself. They were in courts, and they, in their court documents, they talked, when they sued the rascals, they talked about their mining operations. We also should be looking at the NDC MP for our win. The NDC MP for our win has been accused by his traditional authority of being involved in Galamsey. He says it's not true, and he is accusing his colleagues, his chiefs. That should be investigated. The NDC constituency chairperson for Axim has been accused by the Adamus Resources, a large-scale mining firm, of being involved in Galamsey. That should be investigated.
The Ghana Journalists Association is calling for increased security for journalists reporting on illegal mining. Speaking at a news briefing in Accra, President of the GJA, Albert Kwabena Jumfor, also called for the repeal of LI 2462 and the declaration of a state of emergency in the fight against illegal mining. Stephen Mensah has more in this report.
The Ghana Journalists Association is condemning the continued exclusion of journalists from national efforts to combat illegal mining. President of the GJA, Albert Jumfor, urged the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources to ensure adequate security for journalists who choose to report on illegal mining activities. Jumfor is also calling for the repeal of LI 2462 and the declaration of a state of emergency to intensify the fight against illegal mining.
There is no institution, I dare say, that has stayed the fight against Galamsey more than the media. We shall never stop this fight until Galamsey is knocked out. We wish to commend all our comrades in the fields working hard for Mother Ghana, even at the peril of their lives. We also demand from the minister and the government the protection of journalists and facilitation of their work in mining fields to enable them discharge their duties without hindrance, fear, and threat to their lives. We urge the minister to immediately collaborate with the GJA and the media to fashion out ways in which the media can play a greater and more impactful roles in the fight against Galamsey.
The Ghana Journalists Association is also urging the Ghana Police Service to take decisive action regarding the impasse between Media General and the new Patriotic Party, citing threats to media freedom and safety from the party's third national chairman. The GJA has demanded that the national chairman withdraw his comments and offer public apology.
We find the actions and comments of Alhaji Masaudu very reckless, reprehensive, and regrettable. His actions and comments are not only a threat to human life, they are also a threat to the lives of the rule of law and our democracy. We condemn them in no uncertain terms and called on the MPP third national vice chairman to withdraw his reckless comment and apologize for same.
Responding to the arrest and detention of journalist Gordon Asare-Bediako, Albert Jumfor stated that the Office of the Special Prosecutor should prioritize the prosecution of corrupt officials rather than persecute and witch-hunt journalists.
We have directed our lawyers to file an application for an injunction to restrain the OSP from engaging in any further act of harassment or undue interference with regards to Asare-Bediako and any other journalist. The special prosecutor must focus on his core mandate, on his constitutional mandate as special prosecutor, and not deviate from it to become special persecutor.
Reporting for Joy News, Stephen Mensah.
The new Patriotic Party has announced plans for a series of mass protests across the country Following President John Dramani Mahama's suspension of Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo, a move the opposition party has condemned as unprecedented attack on judicial independence and a blatant violation of Ghana's constitution. NPP national organizer Henry Nana Boakye says the party would not allow what it perceives as an erosion of democratic norms to go unchallenged. He was speaking at the party's Thank You Tour launch here in Accra, and Kenneth Jesse was there for us and reports.
Well, the new Patriotic Party says it is set to embark on a thank you tour across the length and breadth of the country. They will be touring the entire 16 regions of the country to thank the electorates and reassure their base that they are still a party to be reckoned with. The party's 2024 flag bearer, Mahmoud Bawumia, well, he said that he was also happy with the Mike Okoye report, saying that it has put to bed a lot of propaganda.
I am very, very happy that Professor Mike Okoye and his Elections Review Committee have submitted their report. We've waited for this report for a long time, and they delivered the report on time. And I must say that I am very happy with the Okoye report. It has put to bed a lot of the propaganda that was going around about exactly why we lost the election, and I'm very happy about that. And when you look at the data is very clear. In many constituencies across the country, the MPP presidential candidate performed better than the Christian parliamentary candidates. In many constituencies across. So it couldn't be, if they were voting because of religion, I shouldn't be performing better than the Christian parliamentary candidates. Even my good friend, Intim Fodio, who is giving a lot of heat to the government at the moment in Parliament. Intim Fodio is a Reverend Father Intim Fodio, as in South. But I did better than him in his constituency. So he did so well. I mean, he did and mobilized the votes for me, and I thank him very much. But if you look at all across the country, the fact is that there was no religious factor in the voting.
The party's national organizer, Henry Nana Boakye, said the MPP is unhappy with the way President John Mahama is handling the Chief Justice matter by suspending the Chief Justice, Gertrude Torkornoo. He has vowed that the party will embark on a series of protests to express their dissatisfaction.
Democracy is under attack. Our judiciary is under attack. Do not think that this attack is on the person of Chief Justice Torkornoo. No, it is the entire judiciary. Expect massive protest from us. We will agitate. We will not sit down quietly. We will agitate. This is unconstitutional.
From the MPP's national headquarters in Accra, my name is Kenneth Jesse for Joy News.
In other stories, President John Dramani Mahama will later today launch the free sanitary pad policy. This idea will benefit more than 2 million females in basic and senior high schools. Government, during the 2025 budget presentation, revealed 292.4 million Ghana cedis has been allocated to ensure smooth implementation or implication of this policy. Now, Deputy Education Minister Dr. Clement Opak has been speaking to journalists.
Importance of this program to our national development and interest doesn't need any re-emphasis. So tomorrow's launch is going to be conducted by His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama as the guest of honor at the national launch. In terms of the figures, it is our estimation that slightly above 2 million girls, both in basic and secondary, are expected to benefit. As I indicated earlier, the procurement processes have been complete. And from those of you who have been monitoring the media and have been reading the papers, there were several lots that were advertised. So it is a mix of companies from different backgrounds that have been given the opportunity to participate in this very important national exercise.
Deputy Director of Nursing Services at the Anka Psychiatric Hospital in the Central Region, Grace Kokotete, has urged Ghanaians and families to desist from abandoning their mentally challenged relatives at psychiatric institutions. Sharing these words while accepting donations made by Charity Prayer Ministries, a church in Ebura, the Deputy Director stated that several mentally challenged patients escape these facilities to go home due to the feeling of abandonment and advised families to make visitation a priority to curb the sad situation. Abigail Isel in Nkrumah has more.
While expressing their gratitude to the church for the donation made to the hospital, the Deputy Director of Nursing Services at the Anka Psychiatric Hospital, Grace Kokotete, advised the youth to desist from red and other hard drugs that affect mental health and called on government to help improve the hospital's infrastructure.
And we are grateful because there are so many places they will decide to go. But God put it on their heart to come here, and they are here, so we are grateful. All that we are saying, that others should copy and also come with their gifts, because our inmates needs gifts, so they should bring it. If you have a sister here, please come and visit. People are not coming, so please come and visit. And these items will go a long way to help the inmates. So we are grateful, and we hope Mama Charity will come again. Today will not be the last, so we are grateful. The challenge, like I said, people will dump their patients. They won't come to visit. So some of the patients will run away and join them in their house. For the men, they're going for the drugs. But the women, disappointment and frustrations, yeah. The youth, the red, they should stop. I had something red, maybe I don't know. But then when you take it, you'll be confused, and I think they should desist from it. It's very bad. And the ladies to the men, when you marry, please take to your wife. Make sure you take good care of your wife so that everything will be pepe.
The Secretary of Charity Prayer Ministries located in Abra Kojeja, Gift Painso, reiterated the advice to the youth to avoid hard drugs and appeal to government to be more vigilant about the importation of such drugs.
So as a church, we believe that Christ died for us for our sins, and the love that Christ showed us, we believe that it is very necessary that we also show the little love that we also have. We have to show it by sharing little things that we also have. That is why our General Overseer, our mother, has actually decided to join hands with the whole church so that we bring out these little items for our dear sick people. We pray that may they be healed, or whatever they are doing for them, may it come out to be successful. We would encourage everybody to look unto God, and everything will be fine. For those who import that drug, we will urge the government to actually help the whole country by actually getting a detailed information about whatever comes into the country, so that the youth would actually grow very well in the Lord.
Among the items donated are rice, soft drinks, and toiletries. From Anka, Abigail Isel in Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
Benjamin Akakbo is standing by to serve you business update.
Let's get to our stories now. And senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa, says a regulation of cryptocurrencies in Ghana would not have any impact on the cedi, particularly in cross-border or digital transactions. Now, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, earlier announced that the central bank would begin regulating cryptocurrencies in Ghana later this year. Reacting to the development, Dr. Amwa said the strong reserve position of the Bank of Ghana should be able to absorb any shocks.
What will happen is that the central bank itself, I think some few months ago, talked about its own digital currency, what we call the ECD. And that ECD is just similar to the cryptocurrency, but the difference is that with the ECD, it is the central bank or the state that is issuing it. the value of the ECD, which is the same as your CD in your pocket, will be backed by the country's reserves. So the volatility there is just like what we have within the normal, Ghana cedi we are using. In the crypto space, because it is decentralized, the value of the currency is an issue of demand and supply. And currency per se should not have its value changing because of demand and supply. The stability of the currency should be influenced by the reserves that backed the currency.
Now, the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport is raising concerns that Ghana's ports are losing significant transit traffic to neighboring Togo and Cote d'Ivoire due to high import charges. Speaking to Joy Business, the Prefect of Fellows Guide of CILT Ghana, Cletus Kuzagbe, called for the removal of some taxes at the ports, stating that the situation was not only affecting local businesses in the transport and logistics sector, but also port traffic.
About the ports, the problems in the ports and the rest, that's true. For some time now, traffic in the port has gone down because of some of the charges you did mention. And honestly, some of them need to be removed. I think that the new government is starting some of those things. And trade increase in the port, when we have traffic from the landlocked countries like the Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, they pass a lot of their goods through the port. But when the port charges increase, some affect them. But honestly speaking, the goods are not for the country. They just pass through. So what one needs is the handling charges. But other things are slapped on them and the rest, which have made them go back to, especially the French countries, which they thought maybe they are brothers. But initially, a lot of them are coming, but the charges have brought the traffic down. Yeah, but we have solutions. So the government should look at some of this area to see what needs to be done. And also moving of the goods from the ports to wherever they need to go, how it could be done efficiently, removing roadblocks or checks on the road to minimize them so that cargo can pass through this block. For some time ago, a lot of these goods for the neighboring countries do pass through our ports, but that has diminished. We think from the discussions today, a lot has to be done.
Well, that's how we cap off our business updates for you this morning. Handing over to the lady in red.
Hey, Benjamin
Lady in
Lapako.
red. Sweetie.
Well, that's it for the AM News. Benjamin, you have a nice singing voice.
Thank you.
Let's get ready for the news review now, and our guest will be joining us in a bit. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. It's time for the news review on the AM show. I'm here, Sweetie Abochi is here, and our guests will be introducing them to you in a bit. But you do know the show is sponsored by Waylead Properties. Let me ask you, are you thinking of a rewarding investment you can engage in? Waylead Company Limited is your preferred choice for such an investment. Waylead Company Limited is a real estate company with several developments to its credit right here in Accra. And we're inviting you. Invest in our new development, Willow Lane, where elegance meets tranquility in the heart of Accra. We provide quality housing at an affordable cost and also with a flexible payment option. At Waylead Properties, we provide you with 24-hour security, reliable power supply, and other social amenities to make your stay memorable. All you have to do now, pick up your phone and save these numbers: 0240 111 119 or 0504 499 999. You can also visit www.waylead.org to make inquiries. And don't forget to call that number. But joining the conversation this morning, Sweetie.
Yes, we have Benjamin Kofi. He is the chairman, NDC Council of Elders in South Africa. And we also have Vicky Bright, former legal advisor to President John Kufuor. Lady and gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So usually on the AM, the news review segment, we give our guests a minute, maximum 2 minutes to walk us through any reflections you may have on a topical issue. But I want to start with you, Vicky. What's on your mind this morning?
Okay. So what's on my mind is the fact that the Ministry of Tourism is celebrating creatives, young creatives, and they don't have enough support. So I want to give a shout out to the minister and her ministry what they're doing is launching a national heritage photo competition.
Yeah.
And it's open to all the 16 regions in the country to showcase our rich cultural heritage through photography. And so they will be expected to submit photos of various heritage sites, cultural products like our food, our clothes, etc., etc. Yeah. So, I mean, good luck to all the competitors, and I'll urge all, young photographers or budding professional photographers to participate in it. So
I would have loved to, enter the competition, but the cut-off age is 25. So I think I love taking photos with my camera, and I think I take photos.
Art.
But yeah. But anyway, we are all disqualified because
we're all disqualified. I'm seriously disqualified.
You are. But Benjamin, what's on your mind this evening?
I have this thing to do with the Galamsey menace that we have, and I'm happy that there are some progress being made, especially with what is happening in the Western region, where we are told that some equipment and 47 illegal miners have been arrested, excavators taken. I think that this is a clarion call, and this is something that we should all be proud about, especially knowing that we are doing it not for ourselves today, but for the unborn generation. I think we should all come together and condemn this. I'm sure that the things that have been seized, as we see it in the newspapers, don't get back to them, don't get back into the forest reserves, and then I'm sure that the battle will be won.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Mr. Kaku, for the purposes of distinguishing between the two Benjamins, yes. Today you are Mr. Kaku. Mr.
Kaku. You can call him Ben 1 and call me Ben 2. It works.
Any thoughts before we get to the Ghanaian Times?
No, I think we should get into the papers. I'll look at the social media stories.
Okay, great. I'll start with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. On the front page, President Mahama suspends Chief Justice Committee probes petition. Ghana ready to lead reconciliation with Alliance of Sahel States, according to President Mahama. Illegal miners arrested at Nimri Summerboy Subri Forest. Stop haphazard billboards mounting along Ceremonial Street. And I want to start from Ghana's readiness to lead reconciliation with the Alliance of Sahel States, and then we'll get into the story of the Chief Justice. So I'm on page 12 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. So President John Dramani Mahama has, in accordance with Article 146, Clause 6 of the 1992 Constitution, suspended the Chief Justice Gertrude Arabaisa Basaki Tokono, and this was after a prima facie case has been established in respect of 3 petitions against the Chief Justice. And I know we're all familiar with this story. And you listen to the response of the Chief Justice against some of the allegations that have been made. I'm curious to find out, what did you make of it? Can we really say, the wording of even her response, that can we say in good faith that this is not against our democracy and so on and so forth? What did you make of, first, the entire thing, the suspension of the Chief Justice and her response in those petitions that we've heard so far?
Well, I think that the president, like we've indicated, followed the Constitution. I believe that the president did nothing wrong. The president, as our first gentleman, will always do things that the Constitution says that he can do. I think that we should move away from believing that this is a personal attack on the Chief Justice. I think that there was a petition. She has responded to the petitions. And the president, also acting on what the Constitution says, referred the matter to the Council of State. Council of State comes back and says a prima facie case has been established against the Chief Justice. I've read her responses to all the petitions, and I think that this is another brilliant thing with our democracy. We are not just saying that the petitioners have spoken, the Chief Justice cannot respond. She has responded. And I'm sure that the committee that has been set up, the 5-man committee, I believe that these are distinguished individuals who would ensure that she has a fair hearing. And so I'm not going to say today that it was done in the past, so it should be done again. I think that our democracy is growing. We are growing as a people. Once we are done with this and we get to the constitutional review that we are all looking at, I'm sure that the framers of our constitution, the new one that is going to come in, or the one that we are all going to agree to put in the constitution, will help us forestall such challenges going forward.
Why do you think this has become a political football at this point, where NDC is saying that, I listened to Dr. Tanko Computer say they're happy about the suspension. Then I heard the NPP say it's a political, it's a witch hunt, some sort of vendetta that the NDC holds against the Chief Justice now that they're playing out. Why do you think this has become a...
Well, it has become what it is because of how former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo handled the issues to do with the electoral commissioners that he dismissed. I think that, look, the NDC as a party have always complained about the judiciary. We have. I have been on different shows and complained that the judiciary that we have is not the judiciary that we saw in times past. I don't see us being happy. We are happy that there are going to be reforms in the judiciary. And I think that the MPP have listened to their press conferences and all of that. I think that they should also remember that we are all Ghanaians first and foremost. So if this is happening and you think that it is happening not under your regime and you want to complain about it, I don't think that it takes us anywhere.
Okay. Vicky, at this point in the processes so far, what's on your mind?
I think we just need to be careful not to politicize this whole thing. It's a constitutional matter. We all voted for the president. We all saw him holding the sword and swearing to uphold the Constitution of the Republic. And so the processes that I've seen so far are just the president, respecting what the Constitution obligates him to do. I haven't seen anything to warrant all this, brouhaha and the noise. And I think that rather is what endangers the whole process and trying to drag it into the political domain when it shouldn't be. We don't know the merits of the case. It may be that there's nothing, this process ends in a situation where the Chief Justice retains her position. It may be that it ends in a situation where the Chief Justice does not retain her position. I don't know. We've seen all sorts of content in there, but none of it has been validated. So I'm not even sure it's helpful for us to speculate on he said or she said or they said or whatever.
Okay.
So for me, I don't think the president has done anything wrong so far.
But the NPP say they are going to embark on nationwide protests to challenge this. They're not going to accept it lying down.
Well, look, it's a free country.
Yeah.
Everybody is free to go and protest or agree or disagree with whatever they feel. If I feel like gathering 10 people to go and stand outside Jubilee House, it's my right as a Ghanaian citizen to do so. So if NPP feel they have something to go out there to protest against, well, good luck to them.
Okay, good luck to them.
Well, in the words of the minority leader, he says they will agitate.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, they will
agitate.
Which also reminds me of, you can agitate liquid.
Yes. And then
he says they will agitate. You were going to say something before.
No, I'm saying that is not helpful for the Chief Justice, because when you look at her legal counsel, it consists mainly of MPP lawyers. I'm sure there are independent lawyers out there who she could have used, but then it's not for me to, it's her prerogative to choose her own legal counsel and who she feels comfortable with. But when you then juxtapose that against MPP's agitation, it kind of skews it in a certain direction, which I'm not sure she even would like. So I think people should not, we should hold our horses. We shouldn't jump the gun and make this into some kind of sensational, the sensationalism is too much.
Yeah.
So I think there should be decorum. After all, we are talking about, the Chief Justice of this country and the Council of State and the President. So there should be a bit of decorum and people should just hold their horses and let's trust the process. Let's trust the process and see what comes out of it once the Council of State has finished its work and this committee that has been put together has finished their deliberations.
Right. It would have been easier to trust the process if the commentary coming in weren't clad in party colors.
This is the problem.
So that's why we are here. But Ben, I think I took the wind out of your sail.
I mean, I am worried as an observer, as a media person, as a person I've studied politics, I've studied law. I'm worried because we've got to the point where, I'm sure you remember the Salah case and everything that happened back then. This is the first time in the Fourth Republic we're seeing a Chief Justice, actually this being triggered as far as the constitutional clauses are concerned, 146. But I'm also seeing that instead of law, this has become a lot more of politics.
The problem.
Yeah.
Because yesterday, interacting with Bafwe, you remember, I kept drawing him, because he's a lawyer, to the law, but what kept coming out was
politics.
The politics of it. I'm worried because when the CJ, for example, talks about some of the concerns that have been raised, which, again, some of them are even supposed to be secret. How are they getting out?
How are they getting out?
Whom does it benefit if they come out? Why are these things getting leaked? Because the entirety of the process, that is why even when the committee sits, it ought to be in camera.
Exactly.
So who is funneling some of this information out there? Whose benefit? To whose benefit? Only God knows. But she's mentioned, for example, some purported spending she made. What are the contractual terms? The reference is made to her contract and all. I mean, the devil is always in the detail. Yeah. It's always in the fine print where what lies. And I don't know. You see, the NDC and the NPP seem to be going to different extremes, not as the process. But we've heard commentary from some NDC members who suggest that, she's going to be hanged and this and that. I don't think that helps the process because it's not good for the optics. We've also heard from the other end, people suggest that, this is a witch hunt. There's no, rational human being who would say that this should go forward. And I'm asking why? Why? Could part of it be that someone appointed the Chief Justice or allowed the process to go through for a specific person to become Chief Justice, and that there's something in there? Because you see, if people start fighting over something, it definitely means there's more than we know. So what is in there that is making, you referenced that her legal team seems to be of a certain political stock. It's her right to go that way. But why is the MPP fighting tooth and nail? I am concerned about this situation. What is hidden in there? The snippets of information we've got around it, it's always coming from one end. What is happening? And if this CJ had been brought by maybe an NDC executive or president, would this fight still be like what it is coming from? You see, so there are so many questions from both the NDC and MPP ends, but let's let the thing run its course. Yeah. In the end, we'll see whether it ends with diarrhea or it ends with, a mere stomachache.
Okay, so let me do the story about Ghana's readiness to lead reconciliation with the Alliance of Sahel States. And President John Dramani Mahama has committed Ghana to leading efforts to reknit the fabric of unity with the Alliance of Sahel States. And he says that, quote, Ghana stands ready as the bridge to help fix the fabric of West African unity. We believe that through sustained dialogue, patient diplomacy, principles, negotiations, we can restore cohesion and rebuild trust in our community. Why must Ghana be the one? Not why must. What do you think about it, that we are the ones taking or leading the charge to, I don't know if the goal is to return them back to ECOWAS or find a way to still work along with ECOWAS without necessarily exiting the bloc. But what do you make of it? Why Ghana?
From day one, President Mahama has done everything that he needs to do with this whole Sahel thing. I remember one of the first appointments he made was that of Colonel Beblolate going to. I think the unity that we want within the ECOWAS sub-region is something that we shouldn't take lightly, especially with this influx of terrorists and other things. I think that the president is doing this to safeguard that sanctity that had been there with ECOWAS all these years. I think that if you listen to how the Sahel state leaders also feel about how ECOWAS has treated them, you would want to say that there should be that peace broker, there should be that person who brings everybody to the table. And I see President Mahama doing this not for his parochial interest, but for the interests of Ghana and other countries in the West African bloc. I think it's something that we should all be happy and proud about, that he has prioritized it, not for the NDC government or the government of Ghana alone, but for the entire bloc of ECOWAS.
Okay, Vicky, your take on this?
Yes, I think that it's important. It's necessary, actually. And I'm happy that Ghana is leading the charge. We saw that one of the first things that the president did, as my brother has said, was to engage the countries that sadly, left ECOWAS. We need
even the invitation to his inauguration.
Even the invitation to his inauguration, and we saw how they all came and Traore was celebrated, and he has a lot of fans. So I think that it's necessary. It's necessary. African unity, in general, is very critical for our development as a continent, because we are lagging so far behind, as I keep saying, and so having divisions does not help us at all. And in this case, the divisions are right on our own doorstep. These are our neighbors, our brothers and sisters, So it's so critical. It's so critical. If they can come back into ECOWAS, fantastic. If they can't, then we have to have such a close working and collaborative relationship that it doesn't drag back whatever progress we're making and whatever planned progress we have in mind to develop our continent.
Like Kwame Nkrumah said, the independence of Ghana is meaningless until it is linked to the total liberation of Africa. Absolutely. So I guess that is where we are heading. So just quick headlines through the newspaper, and you can reflect on one main story that piques your interest. Orchestration to remove CJ assault on judicial independence, that is according to Asefwa. Ashaman chief urges security agencies to intensify fight against drug abuse. Illegal miners arrested at Nimri Summer Boys Subri Forest. And Pope Francis's funeral to take place on Saturday, says the Vatican. Let me just get a bit of details out here. So Pope Francis's funeral will take place on Saturday at 10 a.m. local time in front of St. Peter's Basilica, the Vatican has said. The date was decided after cardinals met in Vatican City on Tuesday morning. Eastern National Development. I am here to convince, not intimidate, Oti Regional Minister says. Ernest Owusu-Bempah referred to NPP's disciplinary committee. The new Patriotic Party has taken disciplinary action against Mr. Ernest Owusu-Bempah, the party's Deputy Director of Communication, for comments he made on social media, which the party believes contravene internal directives. And we also have National Chief Imam expresses condolence on Pope Francis's death. President Mahama, others pay tribute to Pope Francis. On the back page, 2,300 students schooled on human trafficking at Denu, and Zebila youth urged to eschew violent extremism. Which of these stories would you like to reflect on, Benjamin?
Again, I'll go to the Galamsey one.
Right.
Because this is a national canker. This is something that all of us have said that we need to all hands on deck in ensuring that we win this battle. I'm happy that there are clear signs of us fighting this tooth and nail as a people. And I think that we should not only commend the authorities, we should also commend the entire people in the Western region, because I'm told that it is the chiefs and people of that area who also gave them out. And I think this should also reflect with those other communities to where the Galamsey menace is still continuing, so that together we regain our forest reserves and ensure that our planet and that of Ghana becomes what we want it to be.
All right. Vicky?
The drug abuse.
Drug abuse. Would you like me to get some details out, or you just go for it?
Yes, that would be helpful.
Okay, so where's that story? It talks about... Okay, I have to get to it in a minute.
Yeah, I think...
Please go ahead and I'll find the story.
I'm saying that for me, this is one of the things I feel very passionately about.
Okay.
And Galamsey, I'm always writing on LinkedIn about that. Because, look, the youth, they are the future of this nation. They are our lifeline. And we cannot afford the future of this nation to actually be engulfed and destroyed by drug abuse.
Right.
It's heading in a very dangerous direction. And I feel that even though we talk about it, not enough is being done about it. That, if you add that to gambling, the gambling addiction, that's literally sweeping this country. I mean, it's like we're in a state of stupor and it's just happening to us. Other countries are trying to reduce these things, and they have support systems, because gambling is one of the most serious addictions that you can imagine, and it destroys everything. Elsewhere, they have Gamblers Anonymous. I was Googling the other day to see whether we have one. There was just some address in Ofanko, nothing else, which means it does not exist. And
do we even have a colleague? Do we have that? Like Addict Anonymous?
So.
We don't have those support
I think
systems.
Some churches just
they do that.
But we have to take these things seriously. So if you add this red or whatever the latest version of it is, if you add it to the gambling thing, they are destroying the future of this nation. All the things that we're doing, education, this, that, hey, it's all totally meaningless if our future is being destroyed in this way. And when you look at global demographics, we all know that Africa will have the biggest youth population in the next, in the foreseeable future, 30, 40, 50 years. What is the use of that? I mean, that's a huge asset. But what is the use of that asset if it's being destroyed now? So for me, this thing is an existential threat. Those two things plus Galamsey are the things that I'm most passionate about. So I think for me, this drug, I will call on the government to really, really, really tackle this problem in a way, and the two together, in a way that will be meaningful and impactful.
So just a little bit of detail is it's the chief of Ashama, Nia Nangajo, who's urging security agencies, the Food and Drugs Authority, and the clergy to collectively intensify the fight against drug abuse, especially opioid, as the menace continues to destroy the youth in the municipality. So that was the story.
God bless him.
Benjamin.
Yes.
All right. I mean,
Ben too.
Ben too
is gone.
So on these scourges of, yes, we have Galamsey, but when you look at our youth, yes, Galamsey targets the young ones. Though there are the kingpins. I'm talking about those in the trenches.
Yeah.
Then you also have drug abuse, drug addiction, and all of that, and gambling.
Yes.
As well. I've said that, taking away the betting tax, I have my own, because it's like alcohol and what we do with it, and tobacco products. But I think we've still not realized. People mention that nowadays addictions, it's an illness. It's not just something that, and some people are more susceptible to addictions than others. I always cite the example of secondary school, and yes, you would see back then in the boarding house, some people going to town drinking, others smoking. Some of them ended up a certain way, others could make it out. We all have different susceptibilities. That's why me certain things, I don't even go near them. I don't want to
because
find
you don't know how your body will react.
I don't want to find out.
Me, same here.
You get it.
I just don't go there,
But they are illnesses. But if they are, how are we? Beyond, Gamblers Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, how do we deal with them as a country? I've always said that one major failure is that when it comes to mental health, we don't have that many institutions to deal with them. Even worse, we practically have nothing when it comes to rehab.
Yes, we don't.
Rehabilitation.
We don't.
So it's a serious problem, because if you
but the Narcotics Control Commission said they have those systems.
I say practically, but we have nothing. Rehab centers should be all over the place.
Yes.
The documentaries we've seen with the youth abusing red and all of that, especially in the Northern Belt. How many rehab centers do we have there?
No.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
Or would it take, if I needed rehab, I have to come from that place to... It doesn't work. So those are my core issues. We need to address them. Else, like you're saying, you can have a youthful population, which should be the lifeblood of your economy, but you will still have nothing.
Nothing.
Then one. Your paper now.
So I'm doing the Metro Lens. Ghana Gold Board begins licensing of service providers in gold trading. This one also talks about President Mahama appoints Emmanuel Alote as Ghana Municipal Chief Executive. Bawumia says, join me on the thank you tour, Bawumia, to MPP leaders. There's this story about, we've already done about the Galamsey crackdown.
Right.
Ghana's gold industry in peril. Minority in parliament warns of dire consequences. I'll do a bit of this. So it says the minority in parliament has raised concerns about the potential dire economic consequences of recent government decisions affecting Ghana's gold industry. In a statement signed by Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, the minority has warned that these decisions could erode gains made in attracting foreign direct investments into the economy. I am concerned about this story because if we look at what has happened with gold fields and how government has engaged them, and also with the gold board that we have in place, I think that we should not as a party ignore what the minority is saying, because my concern is that we need to do it and do it well. It shouldn't be like the implementation of the National Health Insurance Scheme and also the free SHS. I think that bring everybody on board and let's see how we can fine-tune it. Because, look, I've read a lot from Kojo Oppong Nkrumah on these things. I've spoken to Sami Jemfi and I said, look, you don't brush it aside because he's making a lot of sense. And I think that our governance should not be that winner takes all, especially when we are dealing with our natural resources like gold. And so this, to me, is a very good story where I think that the majority should also take the minority's concern when it comes to this gold industry thing. And then also join me on the thank you to Bawumia, to MPP leaders. I think that I listened to him yesterday when he indicated that he's changing the face of how thank you talks are done. That is why he didn't just go alone. He has asked everybody to come on board. I think that the NDC needs a very vibrant opposition. And so for me, I think that it is a call in the right direction. Once we are the ruling government and there's a vibrant opposition, I think that we'll be on our toes and ensure that the reset agenda that we promised the good people of Ghana, we are able to achieve it.
Let me ask you this quickly. How vibrant is your opposition currently? How vibrant would you say they're holding your feet to account?
I think they are not there yet. They've still not recovered from the defeat that they had. So sometimes when I look at how the
mighty minority is not there yet.
No. They are not there.
I'm curious to see how you land on that point.
Because look, I've listened to Afenyo Markins on a lot of issues, and I think that the emotions are more than being factual when it comes to what he talks about. I think, honestly, they are not there yet. I'm sure that with the days to come, the weeks to come, they would realize.
What are the indicators that you can use to measure whether or not they are there yet or not? What are you hoping to see that you haven't seen yet? Because I think every policy that has come out, every major government action, the minority have had something to say about it.
I just spoke about Kojo Oppong Nkrumah and this gold thing, and I've indicated that he comes up with brilliant things. Look at what the Reverend Fojo has taken all of us through. And I think that he's not been fair, not only to himself, but to the NPP, because you realize that whatever he's talking about, whatever he's doing, has got more to do with emotions than being factual. And so I believe that there's also the school of thought that believes that what he is doing is denting the image of the minority. And I think that these are things that makes us to question whether they are that vibrant minority. They say they are the mighty minority. We'll see how they are able
Please hold here. Let me get Vicky's thoughts on this. Do you agree?
Well, I mean, it's difficult when there are only, 85 or so of them in a parliament with 275. So I think they need to pick their battles, and sometimes you need to lose many battles to win the war. And I think if not, they will not be relevant, and if they want to be relevant, they have to be very, very circumspect. They have to be focused, they have to be strategic and decide which battles to pick in parliament. Because, yes, there's always a majority side and a minority side in parliament, but this time, the minority is really
a minority.
So it's a micro minority.
So you don't like that term.
I had to pause to, So I think they just need to pick their battles. To be effective.
Before we go on,
I mean, I though I'm not a politician, I've always said that would have probably been my approach. Choosing your battles. You couldn't have said it any better. You've hit the nail on the head, because you can win the battle and lose the war.
Absolutely.
And that's why sometimes it's also said that if you keep mute, there are times where even if you are foolish, and I'm not referring to any party, but there are times where even if you're foolish, the Bible says it, and you keep mute, maybe, thought to be wise, someone who is wise. And there are many instances where wise people will stay quiet because they know when to stay quiet. I think that should be the strength of the NPP, choosing their battles. For now, it's like there are 100 things and Yanko, maybe in the words of the minority leader, let's agitate. All 100, agitate. Rather than there are 100 issues out there, but for us, 30 are major issues, and push and let Ghanaians see that on those 30 issues, you were actually right.
So that they remember.
And then that would give more recall to the Ghanaian that, oh, these are people of purpose who, when they say, they do, or when they say, it is actually something to pay attention to. Like I keep that analogy. The boy who cried wolf. Wolf, wolf. The day the wolf came, nobody paid attention to the boy because he had always been crying wolf. So I think they should, like you said, aptly choose their battles rather than everything getting on them. But who am I to advise?
Who am I? Let's finish your paper then.
Okay, no, I'm done.
One last story.
So the last story that I want to do is government go fields reach agreement on Daman mine transition.
Right.
It says that the government of Ghana and Go Fields Ghana Limited have reached an amicable agreement on a transitional plan for the Daman mine. The agreement signed on April 22nd, 2025 outlines the operational modalities for the transition, including the issuance of a new 12-month mining lease to Go Fields subsidiary, Aboso Go Fields Limited, pending parliamentary ratification in May 2025. Okay. I'm happy that this is a good step again. Okay. Let's regulate the licenses that we give to people. And I'm happy that they say that it is pending parliamentary ratification in May 2025. Okay. Good cause.
Good news. Good okay. Vicky, your newspaper next.
So I have the New Republic newspaper, and the headline story is Fraud Drama Rocks CJ's petition. Conflicted Gimpa Law School Dean indicted in leaked document. Raymond Archer rises to Yoko Boss, and then the Goldfield story again, the Daman mine, and the renewal of the license at the Aboso mine, and then the spring meetings, IMF spring meetings as well. And on Galamsey, the IGP cracks the whip and reshuffles all commanders in the Galamsey areas.
Yeah, what do you think about that? Reshuffling the commanders in the various areas. He says to bring some, renewedness, freshness into the fight against Galamsey. Is it because he genuinely believes that those who are there are not doing the work it takes to actually curb the menace?
And maybe not.
What's the strategy?
Yeah, I don't think it's because he doesn't have any, confidence in them. I think sometimes you just need to inject new blood. Yeah. Inject new blood into a situation. Because look, these guys have been there throughout this whole period, or part of this period that we've all been going on and on about Galamsey and complaining. And as the saying goes, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah,
yes, exactly. So I think that it's just to, that government is doing they are pursuing a number of initiatives. So I don't see this in isolation.
Okay.
I see it as one of many things they are doing to actually finally tackle this thing, get to the crux of the problem and deal with it. And if, people, we've seen the stories where some of these people have been compromised because they've been there for so long that they've forged relationships with maybe the traditional leaders and other people in the end, some of the miners themselves. And so if they are moved, then, it breaks that whole cycle. Right. So I think it's a good thing. Okay. And let's pray that the new people who are coming in don't fall into the same trap. So
and if I may just add, it's with the problem of Galamsey, it's been clear, even when the sector minister, Emmanuel Amakofiboa, spoke in recent times, he mentioned that apart from everything else, you also have security personnel
Yes.
Some of them compromised. Forestry Commission, some of them compromised. So it means that you must have a sort of fan belt of, officials, because there are certain institutions of the country where even if you keep someone for a certain period, even our medical people, they do it. You are moved. I know people who are moved from Kolibu, they are at the UGMC now. Over time, you don't get so used to the place because that is where corruption starts.
The problem starts.
And then it becomes a problem. So that is part of the idea of shaking up. Not necessarily that these people are not performing or something. And I think it shouldn't just stop with this. It should continue. So that if you go there and influence can be, influence peddling can be minimized, I think.
Okay, let's continue.
There's also an urgent call for judicial reforms as well. And this is in the light of the Chief Justice's suspension and Justice Bafo-Boni being the acting Chief Justice. And then the Akunta mining case. And Deputy Minister breaks ground for Savannah Regional Lands Commission of its complex. And then, these road traffic accidents are just terrible. Now, 8 people have died in a fatal crash. I mean, I saw a story saying that in the first 3 months of this year alone, over 800 people have died. So we really must tackle this thing. It's not good. And then there's a story here about the Bank of Ghana, the governor, and talking about the stable, cedi and dollar exchange rate in 2025. This is him speaking at the IMF.
Okay.
And Akunta mining again. And there's one here, but it's about, anyway, I better not say it.
Yeah.
Oh, and then there's a story here about HIV. The fact that the stop work order from the US government is affecting Ghana's fight to eradicate HIV/AIDS by 2030. This whole USAID being brought to an abrupt end.
Yeah.
So it's actually affecting our fight against HIV/AIDS, or I guess threatening to erode some of the huge progress that we've made in this regard. And then the Tamale Teaching Hospital case.
Yes, that's a topical one.
Which is, yes, that's a topical one. So
they're on strike now. They're making some demands.
Well,
they're asking
yes.
that if those demands are not met, they're not resuming to work.
Which is very, I mean, that's sad because, look, I think everyone knows the background now of what happened.
Yes.
And I think the minister just made an impromptu visit to the place and discovered some things, and then one thing led to the other, and it was unfortunate how it all unfolded. And I think both parties meant well. It just didn't. It just ended up the way it did. But I don't think anything is lost. I mean, we're Ghanaians. We're used to solving things in a very amicable way. So I think the parties just need to come together, because at the end of the day, the same people you're arguing about are now the ones suffering. I mean, this is a huge...
The irony of it.
The irony of it is a major hospital.
Yeah.
And imagine closing down the whole emergency department. So what are people supposed to do? And doctors are there to save lives. So I think the sensitivities should be a bit, calm. People should just be calm. Yes, we appreciate our doctors very much. We know that they are working in very, very difficult circumstances. I have relatives and very good friends who are doctors here. I have very close relatives who are doctors abroad. And the contrast in resources is night and day. So these guys are doing a yeoman's job. At the same time, it doesn't mean that they are above criticism, because we are all fallible. We are all human beings. As long as you are human, you should not be, you should not feel that you are not fallible.
All right.
So I think, tempers should just be cooled. And please, let the hospital reopen, because people are suffering.
Yes.
Lives are being lost as we speak, and that is not acceptable.
Okay.
And
I think
just to wrap up, and if they don't reopen the hospital soon, they may lose public support. They probably think that it's the government that's going to lose public. Yes, government may, but look, government will ride over that, because that's what politics is about.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to live with the people in Tamale and the environs, and you will lose their support if their loved ones are dying. just because of people's egos. So please, I mean, you know, everyone should apologize to everyone, and let's just move on.
Yes.
And save lives.
Something on this.
Yeah, I think she's so right. I saw the video and I said that the impromptu visit, I'm sure, is what caused the CEO, and you know, the way he was also talking was a bit not right. But like we say, this is a matter of life and death. Our people in Tamale should not be the ones suffering because of somebody's not being able to do their work. And I think that it is right that we ask them to call off the strike, go back, and then let's see. I've read the Ghana Medical Association's petition or whatever, the statement. Yeah. And I think that they were also a bit too strong in their language. Let's all tempers calm down, and then let's get a solution that will benefit the good people in Tamale. That is the most important thing.
Then two.
Well, I noticed there was a story in the paper. I think it was just yesterday when we had Dr. Kwame Asasa, and he was talking about those engaged in mob justice being handed over to the police. That was a story that was in there. I think it was on the latter pages of the paper. But it's not one that we need to get into. It's a call that I support, a call that I made here, which he also supported. I think they may have culled it from our discussion yesterday, but that's definitely one to look at. I'll do the online portals, and I'll start with myjoyonline.com, maybe end there as well. Government and Goldfields strike historic deal on Damang mine. In fact, the major one is TTH doctors declare indefinite suspension of emergency and outpatient services, which we've discussed. But linked to that, a few more stories. He should have walked away. A CDD fellow criticizes sacked TTH boss for staying despite system failure. So pharmacist Kwame Sapong-Esido has criticized the sacked Tamale Teaching Hospital CEO, saying he should have never remained in charge of a collapsing facility. The CDD fellow, I don't know why it says CCD here, said that was in clear violation of documented health system assessments. And he says, that's why I struggle to support the sacked CEO of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, because all of us, myself included, Richard, that is Salome, the president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, the president of the GMA, we have all read this report. The way I see it, there are problems at TTH, major problems at the Tamale Teaching Hospital that ought to be addressed. But there are also systemic problems that are beyond the doctors, which also ought to be addressed. We must be fair in the analysis. When you look at what happened on the screens with Akandoh, I feel some of it, or a large part of it, could have been avoided. I mean, I remember at Mills going to the ports and other places, I think immigration and some things that transpired. But look at how calm he was. He got upset, if you remember, seeing Atta Mills upset. You know, he got upset, but it was still tempered. I feel from both.
You know, he is a very calm person by nature.
But I feel from both ends. I saw Alhassan Suini with Kwabena Akandoh. I also saw the Tamale Teaching Hospital CEO and other staff. I feel all of them could have been more temperate, more pacific in the approach, because I'm trying to justify, but no, this is wrong. It's a human life, but this and that. I just feel that whole thing was unnecessary, the spectacle of it. But what it reveals is that there are underlying issues that must be dealt with from the health, you know, aspect administratively, that is the minister and the rest of them, but also from administrative levels down there, because there's a lot happening that ought not to be happening. So I'm not here to apportion blame. All I'm saying is that they should fix our health system and let it work.
I just don't want, I mean, I agree with you. It's just that I also think that the strategy is good. The surprise visits to health facilities, just so that they know that somebody's checking out for, you know, the good things that they're doing and the rots in the system, so that at the end of the day, we're not just sitting aloof because we'll do what we can because nobody's asking or checking on us, you know.
So that angle, I don't disagree with. It ought to happen, but this spectacle is what I am saying we could do without. So let's do it. Let's go on with it. I think it's so important.
It is. It's necessary.
Many of our institutions are dormant. You just need someone to pass through and whip up, you know, the right. On that same bit, Only 5% of consultation rooms can diagnose patients, yet we build hospitals. Kwame Sapong Asiedu on that point as well. But let me go into other stories very quickly. Military training for national service personnel set to begin in August 2025. And it's been said that it's not military training in terms of full military training like you would have generally, but also to give them a sense of, some say, patriotism and all of that. You know, South Korea has something. There are a number of countries that do things like this. All permanent PMMC staff are still at post. Only contract staff have been laid off. That's according to Sami Jimfi. GJA condemns attacks on journalists by Galamsey operators, demands swift justice. The president of the GJA, Albert Kwabena Jumfoa, strongly condemned the brutal assault on 3 journalists in the Western region by illegal small-scale miners, commonly known as Galamsey operators. And that's the call there that we fully support. I'll take your quick reflections on these before I get to other stories on myjoyonline.com. Starting with you, Vicky.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, these attacks on journalists at Galamsey sites, really, they have to stop. It's totally unacceptable. All they are doing is their job, and they are trying to keep this story in the minds of Ghanaians. And without, you know, people like Erastus rather, and others, we would not see the full picture. You know, so I think that for me, that is something that has to be dealt with, and it has to be dealt with swiftly and effectively, you know, so that it should stop. It just should. So it's just not acceptable. Because what are you doing? You're doing that to stop them from telling us what's going on so that you can continue to steal the gold and destroy lives and you know, lead to pregnant women producing defective babies.
Yeah.
I saw a very sad story of a little baby who was born with just half a heart. You know, recently, a documentary on that, because of the Galamsey. And the mother had lost the first child, but they hadn't made the connection. It's only when the second child developed this thing that they then finally, during investigations, realized that, this is what... So, they have to stop that.
And any thoughts?
I think that the GJ, Ben, there was this issue we were all talking about, the pushing of the mic of TV3.
Yes.
During that. But I've not heard any statement from the DJA. I think that these are things that they should also...
it was actually in the agenda. I saw the flyer. It was part of the agenda. They didn't talk about it. I didn't follow their press conference, so I'll have to check on that.
Didn't know. But anyway, I think that it's a call in the right direction, and I believe that once we do that, it adheres to the benefit of all of us as Ghanaians.
Right.
We have Reverend Jones Latte sending in some thoughts here, all the way from the UK. He says, my quote, I think on the back of keeping institutions running, we do what is inspected. We don't do what is expected. That's his quote. And it's very apt. He also says, good morning, kudos for the excellent work, I believe. £1 is 20 cedis and 20 pesos. Prices of building materials are changing daily. It's not looking good. And he sends that one as well. We have to tame this monster of you know, the exchange. But quickly through the rest of my stories, we still have some 4 minutes or so, and then we'll bring in sports. I sold Kenke to fund my education. ACP Kofi Sapong says so. I always find those stories interesting. Films made with AI can win Oscars, Academy says so. AI is gaining quite a bit of ground. Economic growth speeds up in Africa, but uncertainty clouds outlook. That's according to the World Bank. And World Bank to help Ghana create jobs for over 500,000 Ghanaians entering into job market annually. In other stories, let me get to some of these ones. A dozen U.S. states, I'll end with these two. A dozen U.S. states sue to halt Trump's tariffs. And China sends Boeing planes back to U.S. over tariffs. So all of those, yes, they had been threatening that, you know, there were contracts that were, and so, okay, so we are not taking delivery. It's this whole thing, I have shared my opinions on them, but let's see how it pans out. I'll take your views on these and then we can wrap. Starting with you, Ben.
I think the U.S., well, like you said, we just stay off it. But I think that the world is a global village. No country can grow in isolation. The U.S. cannot do it alone. I think that President Trump should tone down a bit and see how we are able to grow as a global state. Look, I heard him yesterday speak about South Africa, and the things he said, I feel that it's entirely not true when he says they are taking the lands from the whites, they are killing them. No, it's not entirely true. I don't know who gives him that information, but I'm sure that in the annals of diplomacy, we should be able to find a lasting solution. And I think that what China is doing is helping all of us so that the U.S. realizes that somebody is pushing back. No African country is pushing back, but China is doing that. And I'm proud that they are doing that. And I hope and pray that President Trump will come to the realization that we all need each other. Nobody can do it alone. Vicky?
I think, you know the saying, when two elephants fight is the ground that suffers, and they are both elephants. The U.S., these tariffs, we just pray for some sanity in the whole situation. I can understand that, President Trump is trying to protect American interests. But at the same time, China is also trying to do the same thing. So where will it stop?
And when will too much protectionism has consequences.
Exactly. And we are all going to suffer in the end because it will cascade down. It doesn't stay there. So let's just hope and pray that this, that people sit around the table and some decorum and sense prevails.
Sweetie, I've seen some reports where people calculate what an iPhone would cost if it were manufactured in the United States. It will shock you. Yeah.
How much?
And
I think over $3,000 if it were manufactured in.
Let's see how it all plays out. Just to end, I saw an article about Elon Musk trying to focus now on Tesla because it's 71%.
AI ashes.
Are you looking for a home in a prime location? Nesta's Home has got you covered. Our properties in Tema Community 26, just behind Palace Mall, offer a serene atmosphere, easy access to transportation routes, and social amenities. Off-plan prices start at $35,000 And contact us today for more information. These are the numbers to call: 053-101-4440 or 053-101-4447. Alternatively, you can visit our website at www.nestas.com.gh. Starting off with our big stories now, doctors at Tamale Teaching Hospital are on strike. Now, the group is protesting the dismissal of its CEO by Health Minister Akandoh, and the doctors are saying that they have suspended all emergency and outpatient services. This is on our table right now to discuss. But first, we'll speak to our regional correspondent, Martina Bugri, to bring us some more details. Right. Ben, I understand we have Austin Game online with us.
And Austin Game is a labor consultant. He joins the conversation. Mr. Game, good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin and Tracy.
It's a pleasure having you join the conversation. We also have Dr. Kingsley Agyemang joining the conversation as well. Doc, let me just find out whether you can hear me. Dr. Kingsley Agyemang.
Yeah, good morning.
It's a pleasure having you join the conversation as well. I'll give you your proper designation in just a bit. But let me start with Austin Game. From the labor perspective, I don't want you to just address where we are now, but even before the spectacle we saw at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, how did it hit you from that perspective before we get to the current issue of the CEO having been sacked and the decision to stay at post from some perspective, and then the reaction of the Ghana Medical Association? What is your take on that?
Well, Benjamin, thank you, and good morning to my friend who is on the other side as well. To be honest with you, it has always been like that in Ghana, where labor and management have been somehow adversarial and a little trigger in any matter at all is taken to a different level. And because of the extreme partisan nature of our country, the slightest thing is developed into another kind of hype. And so, unfortunately, the minister, the gentleman, and ladies at the hospital in Tamale, there was a trigger and they went overboard, both sides. No one person commit all offenses. Me, I'm a conflict resolution person. And therefore, I do know that what I saw on the screen and my investigation behind the scenes clearly shows that there is a pent-up feeling already about lack of this, lack of that, coupled with the unfortunate incident at the hospital where somebody lost life, had been drawn into the whole fray, and so created the melee we saw. It was not the best on the side of both parties, and therefore it created an uproar and leading to where we are now, where everybody is jumping into it and creating further disturbance and disruption to the system.
So that is your initial analysis of the situation. Let me also bring in Dr. Kingsley Agyemang, a member of Parliament for Ebuakwa South and also a member of Parliament's Health Committee. Doc, thank you once more for joining the conversation. For you, I'm not asking us to get into the salient matters yet, but when you saw that video, what did it point to as a member of the Health Committee of Parliament?
Yeah, thank you, my brother. Very good morning to all your listeners. Warm good morning to my friend at the other side. As we indicated yesterday in our press release yesterday morning by this time, what we saw was no safety in a hospital. What we saw was very, very bad day for the Tamale Teaching Hospital. I mean, it's not something that is commendable. It was an eyesore. Not good, not the best for healthcare delivery. So we were very much worried, and that explains why we issued a press statement. It is the lowest point that you can get into public service, where the highly revered position of a minister is reduced to that of a wrestling ring with a healthcare giver in a hospital in the presence of patients. Low. The office of a minister requires a high standard of sobriety, and it is very condemnable. We don't support it, and it is a bad spectacle for healthcare delivery.
When you say you do not support it, you don't support the sacking of the CEO because it didn't follow due process, or you don't support the sacking at all?
So two issues here. The open confrontation of the minister with the neurologist and inappropriate manner, unconstitutional, administratively, and everything that has to do with the suspension of the CEO. These are the
Dr. Agyemang, we keep losing bits of your take. So can you start again? And maybe if you can reposition yourself.
Sorry, we got to Tamale last night as a minority to mediate this Tamale Teaching Hospital. Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that there are two issues here. One, the sacking of the CEO who did not follow due process has been made very clear in our statement. Then second, the open confrontation of the minister with the healthcare giver, the neurologist. So these are the issues. And that is where it has gotten us to where the teaching hospital is at this morning.
Before we get to what has happened, the fallout of it, what do you think should have been the ideal approach to handling this matter?
The law is very clear. I think Section 34 of the Ghana Health Services and Teaching Hospital Act is very clear. The minister does not have or is not clothed with the authority to sack. And if there is a need for a sack, it is the president that must consult the Council of State. And I don't think that has been done, or from what we know, that consultation has not been done. Secondly, I don't think you seated at Joy FM now, or wherever anybody works here in Ghana, if your regulator or your supervisor from Accra or anywhere comes to you and have an open confrontation with you, spit at you anyway, anyhow, it doesn't provide safety. We don't threaten people at the workplace. no matter how the day turns back. That is why we are in the position of a minister. If NCA comes to your studios right now and begins to tell it at you or give it at you, is it something that provides safety? No. It shouldn't have happened in the first place. So that is why we are saying that the office of the minister calls for a higher sobriety. You need to be very, very well composed at all times, because that is how public service is like. That is how public service is. You meet things. And for the day, the doctors who might have been going through things. But we have to be more decorous. We have to calm down in all situations if we really want to stay in public office and at that high level.
Just a quick follow-up. You say the doctor maybe have been going through things. Can you ascribe the same, generosity to the sector minister, especially when there was the case of someone who had lost their life? Can you accord that same generosity to him, that he may also have been having a bad day, or that he was so infuriated by it that he acted the way he did? I'm just asking for your take on that.
I mean, in all humility, if it's a parent-child situation, who is supposed to exercise more calmness? I believe your listeners best judge. Why is somebody called a parent and another called a child? Why you called a minister, and why is he called a caregiver?
Do parents also lose it?
Sorry?
Do parents also lose it sometimes and do things they are not supposed to?
They do, but it must be lost in a more decorous way. Okay, that's the part that we are saying. It wasn't a good thing. Like my brother said, it wasn't a good thing. But you have come from the craft. Okay? You have come all the way from Accra to resolve something. So the hospital setting, things happen. We are not saying that the loss of that patient or something that can be underplayed. No. The loss of every soul is so important to a hospital. How do we manage it? Okay, how do we manage it? And if you seek to have an information on the death of a person, if the minister first clothed with that authority, you need to even have that information when patient information is supposed to be something that is confidential. Unless you are compelled by the court or a security agency that is clothed with the authority of investigation. And how do you seek to have this through a confrontation? With the help of a hindsight, if this conversation had happened in conclave, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are now.
And Sweetie will come right back in. I do agree with you to a certain extent, because I've said that, I mean, for me, part of it, the spectacle was unnecessary. It could have been addressed in other ways. But if you look at the exchanges between them, I feel both parties could have also, done better. Back to you, Sweetie.
Yes, so now let's look at the demands you're making, and not you per se, the demands that the doctors are making, the apology, the equipment and all that, and how it is affecting people who the hospital was built for. The strike action is affecting people. Is it a concern to you at all?
Very well. It's very concerning. That is why the minority is here this morning to kind of have a discussion with the management of the hospital. We have a meeting with them at 9 o'clock, and we pray that they listen to us so that the good people of Tamale and the other 4 northern regions can have healthcare delivery. Because this is the only teaching hospital within the 5 northern regions. And like the saying goes, when 2 elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. We don't want anybody from the northern region to suffer as a result of this strike. The minority, we are very much concerned, and that is why we are here. We appeal to our colleague, the demands of the Doctors Association and that of the GMA is no different from what we also issued out last morning. We believe that calmness must prevail in the interest of the people that we seek to serve. It cannot happen that this must continue. We plead with them, even as we get into meeting with them this morning, that the profession the fact that we save lives. They should put behind whatever has happened, as they always do, and give it their all, as they always do, to the people of Tamale and its surrounding areas.
Before I go back to Mr. Game, in your earlier submission, I get the impression that, the confrontation we saw was not with the CEO. So is the CEO has he been sacked because of that confrontation or because of what can be termed as irresponsibility on his part?
That's very interesting. They have not ascribed any reason to it. About all that we are saying.
Now, you gave some analogy about if someone comes to your NCA comes here and engages in open confrontation, etc.
The confrontation was with the neurologist, the doctor.
Great. So that's not the CEO, but he's the one who's been sacked. But you're saying that the confrontation is what you are, chastising, and that's what you do not support and all that.
We don't support the confrontation and the undue process the sacking of the CEO went through. And if your listeners remember, when I was on air with my colleague Suhini, he did indicate that the clash, the sacking of the CEO, it's not solely because of the clash. I think the minister also alluded to that when he spoke to when he spoke on your platform. All that we are saying is that the law is very clear. Whatever that might have happened, the law is very clear. If you even read further in the Act, it shows how disciplinary procedures must be handled. I believe that members of the political class or we in policy-making positions, we should adhere ourselves to the various laws that we have enacted ourselves.
At what points does the CEO take responsibility for the issues? That's the point I'm trying to, get from you.
I mean, from a CEO perspective, you are responsible for everything that happens in your facility. But that does not mean that you can play God. I don't know if you get what I mean. So you need to be insulated at a certain point. That is why there are procedures, the administrative procedures that must happen in every facility. I don't think you having this meeting or this discussion with me now, the CEO of multimedia, is even aware. But ultimately, he takes responsibility.
Right.
He is vicariously liable for everything that happens.
Mr. Game, I want to understand if there are systems in place to evaluate performance of public hospital CEOs and if they were utilized here.
Supposed to be available, but we are not. Ghana is not. Let me be very candid with you. Ghana is not a country where we set proper targets, where for people to work towards achieving objectives and applying strategies and so forth and so on. We don't do that. We pay people for coming to work, not because they have achieved any target. But having said so, I've listened to my friend, the Honorable gentleman, and clearly I think that there is a problem that must be handled. Both parties went a little off course, but the reality is that a minister responsible for a sector is absolutely responsible for everything and reports to the president. And so it should be noted.
Are you saying that the minister is within his right to sack the CEO?
It's not about the minister cannot do that without first taking authorization from his boss. That should be understood. I've been in the ministry before. And so clearly
who would be his boss in this context?
The boss is the president.
All right. I just wanted clarity. Go
ahead. Yes. And it should be clearly understood also that every CEO is responsible for even the most casual mistake of a person in any establishment. Even the most casual mistake of any person, the CEO is responsible. That is why you are called CEO and you accept it. So, I'm pleased that the minority is taking steps to ensure that things are done in a serene way. But we must do it professionally in a manner that is appropriate and helpful to the people who pay our monthly pay. The patients and the people in Tamale and Ghana in totality contributes to the paying of the monthly pay of the doctors and the minister and everybody else. And therefore, any action that is taken contrary to the rules and regulations of the country, it should not be accepted as normal. Mm-hmm. Now, the issue about sacking, the law is very clear that when an employer has the right, under Section 33 of the Labour Act of Ghana, when an employer has the right to dismiss a fellow, there is no option available. You can't even give notice. The person must be dismissed because you have the right to do so. If you don't have the right, you don't have the right. This is not about termination. Mm-hmm. It's not about suspension. It's not about punishment. It's about dismissal based upon certain understanding that the minister might have, which may not be open to all of us in the meantime. So
is there a difference? Is there a difference?
In this thing, after the confrontation, all of us, from a communication, labor relations communication point of view, it could have been handled in the best possible way. I agree with
Mr. Game. Is there a difference? Is there a difference? This dismissal and other things you speak of, because Kwabena Akandoh, when he spoke that evening, made mention of the fact that the CEO had been relieved of his duties with immediate effect, and the question was put to him about what happens to the CEO then, and he made mention of the fact that he could be seconded to any other agency under the ministry. So what exactly do you mean by that?
If my reading in your media circles and from what I heard directly from them is anything to go by, my understanding is that the CEO had been dismissed. If he had been dismissed and people are questioning the propriety of it, I'm saying that a dismissal is the highest offense at enterprise level, and therefore, if the CEO is dismissed, it means the employer has the right to do so, and they did so. And that is the clarity. But it's not about anything else but dismissal. This is what we heard. If it is about something else and we hear it, then we'll know where to place it.
Mr. Gama, are you saying that there's no system in place to insulate CEOs, or should I say leadership of state enterprises or like hospitals, for example, from political crossfires? And so once the minister decides that you've done something that warrants a sack, off you go?
No, there are several layers, even in our laws, not in just in labor relations and the Labor Act that we have, the regulation that goes with it clearly spells out how that minor offenses can be handled, middle level, or if you like medium type of offenses can be handled, and when it is a grievous offense that will warrant dismissal. A dismissal, you don't even have time to go into having committees and so forth and so on. Dismissal is dismissal. It's mentioned only once in the law, under Section 33 of the Labour Act. If you have leave, it is forfeited. You will not be given notice. You are dismissed forthwith, and that is it. But if it's just a minor or some level of offense that they can mutually part company with you, it's a different story. Comes under Section 15A. If it's about termination based upon incompetence, it comes under Section 62A. So clearly there are spelled out arrangements in the law, and best practices demands that we should do it that way. This is an altercation that should not have happened in the first place.
All right. So in this case, did the CEO, this is actions, a responsibility, all of it, did it warrant a dismissal?
A dismissal is the only thing that it means the employer has a right to undertake. And when it is done and you as a worker feel aggrieved, you can petition the superior of the minister, or you go to National Labour Commission. where the commission has the right to summon even the office of the president, not the president, because you can't summon a president.
Mr. Dami, in your expert opinion, right, in Labour, did the dismissal, is it justified? This is what I want to understand. This dismissal of the CEO of Tamale Teaching Hospital, based on your extensive experience.
All dismissals anywhere is, to start with, justified, because you cannot dismiss a person when you don't have the right to dismiss. That's why it is done without notice. Under the law and practice, you can dismiss without offering notice. That's why it is immediate. But when you feel aggrieved, you still have an option, an opening to go to the National Labour Commission, where it is an impartial body that can handle it.
Okay, let's take it from that angle, because I do remember the question was posed to the minister about, this bit, relieving him of his duties. And of course, like I said, he said it was with immediate effect. Was that the only option, punitive option available to the minister? You've spoken about what the Labour law says. My question then is, since dismissal is used so sparingly, was that the only option available, since you talk about minor offences, intermediate offences, and very high offences? What were the punitive measures available to the minister, if any?
Well, if you are going to terminate somebody, termination goes with a question of incompetence. And my understanding is that this is not about incompetence. From my investigation so far, I'm told it's not about incompetence on the part of the CEO. So it does not cover that. It is not about mutual separation under the law, Section 15A. That means the CEO feel as a result of certain things he wants to leave, and they both mutually agree that they should part company. It's not about so. It's not about a minor offense where he's being suspended as a measure of a deterrent or something of that sort. That is not the case. If they mention dismissal anywhere, what it means is that officer that has the right to dismiss a person has the right and will not even give you notice. It means the offense is so grievous that there is no option open for it. It's a position that has been taken. And that is it.
All right. So that was taken by the minister. You have to take leave of us. We'll let you do that shortly. But are there any breaches you see that could have been brought to bear on the part of the sector minister by way of the law? And he also mentions that the CEO can seek redress if he feels so guided to do so. What is your take on that? Just briefly, and we'll wrap it up with you. Austin Gami.
Oh, honestly, from where I sit in the reading of the whole episode, both parties in the outburst, in the open, I think could have been managed better.
Yes, but beyond the outburst and the real substance of the case.
Yeah, the substance of the matter is that the hospital is in lack of equipment, of especially ventilators, acute water shortage, which is not the immediate trigger. Somehow along the line, it appears to the minister that they could have been using some of the IDF, the internally generated funds, to manage some of the situations as they make requisition for the necessary tools that they need. Some consumables like gloves don't warrant an attack on each other. It's most unfortunate that they have to open up in the public domain before the full glare of the media, and that escalated the whole thing. So I think that could have been handled, like I said, much, much better. And that way, I agree with Dr. Aziman and any other person who is saying so. But I think that both parties should take lessons from it, bitter as the case may be, and that will not be repeated. And the gentleman who started and the lady who came in are not the subject matter now about either dismissal, suspension, or any form of action. So that should not be the matter that should immediately warrant a strike action, which is also inappropriate in any form or shape, because they are not supposed to take an action that way without giving proper notice. Immediate action is an affront to the law itself and best practice.
I am really sorry I have to do this. We have to get others on the line, but it just came to mind. This practice, and I'll get to Dr. Agyeman with it, this practice of politicians choosing the leadership of, these institutions, including the CEOs of our medical facilities and all of that, is this part of the problem?
You want me to provide an answer?
Yes, I do.
To be honest with you, as for health-related matters, it is national in character. So if you leave it in the hands of, solely in the hands of institutions, without somebody who is overall responsible for anything that can create an uproar in a whole nation, it's to be inappropriate to leave it solely in the hands of certain institutions.
All right.
So, except that they give authorization to, let's say, a board to interview and submit these things through certain systems to employ, fine.
Right.
Otherwise, the whole nation is directly under the care of the president of an executive presidency.
All right. Mr. Game, we're grateful for your...
I just wanted to get one last bit before you go. I know you already said that every time you use a dismissal, it is justified. But in terms of the reasons that were given, is that just cause? And if not, what options are available to the CEO? And then briefly, and then you go.
Oh, yes, several. He should apply to the National Labour Commission. I think that is where rather GMA comes in. GMA is a trade union in character, and therefore they protect the interests of their members. They should accompany the gentleman with a balanced written justification to the National Labour Commission, which is an impartial body to handle the matter and resolve it properly. Or if they have some relationship, that's why language usage is very important. They can also make an appeal to the minister. They can have a meeting and discuss how best they can relate. And if there is any option of tempering something with the CEO's dismissal and placing him where appropriate, all those things can be done. But I think that because of the immediate sour nature of the whole thing, they are not able to communicate properly. But I think that the minister is open to it. I'm sure GMA is open to it. But if not, they should go to the Labour Commission.
Right. Thank you so much. I think you've missed my first angle, though, whether it's just cause or not. Can you give me a yes or no on that?
And normally, all dismissals under the law says in section 33 that you, the employer, must be right before you take any such action. So it's presumed to be justified. And if the person who is visited on feels that the justification is inappropriate, he has options. Go to the National Labour Commission, appropriate place to go.
Thank you, Austin Gabe, for joining the conversation. He's a labor expert. He joined the conversation there. Some interesting messages, portions of the messages. So, Dr. Agyeman, I'm coming to you shortly. Just hold for me. Austin Gabe, we're grateful for your time. You can take leave of us now, sir. This message coming through says, the minister said he set up a committee to investigate and report to him in 2 weeks. Why can't the minister wait till the committee completes its work before any decision is taken? The manner in which the CEO was sacked was a rushed one. I've heard responses to that as well, justifying why the minister did, but I had to read that. This one says, just transfer all those doctors and we'll see who loses. Their private businesses will collapse just because of sharing the legal charges on patients, which is another aspect of the conversation where sometimes medical professionals
have their own outfits or they make their referrals. That is what this person is pointing to. Nanaya Okwenu says, you sit in your comfort zones in Accra and seem to have every solution to every problem in Ghana, yet ordinary Ghanaians are suffering. Go to our polyclinics and see what is going on. Patients are not getting hospital beds and many dysfunctional equipment. There are pertinent issues around. So if you look at it, you would realize that people are mentioning other real problems on the ground. No one is saying the CEO is wrong or the minister is this or that. But in the end, Minister Cole, CEO Cole, how do we resolve the problems? And I'm coming to you, Dr. Ajiman, on that. You're an administrator. When these medical doctors, whatever position they rise to, take the Hippocratic oath, they actually take that oath to preserve life, respect patients, and all of that. Preserve life. Looking at some of the dynamics you know in the Tamale Teaching Hospital, I'll ask you, do you feel politics is part of the problem that we are facing? Dr. Ajiman, that question was for you, sir.
Yes. Before I come to that, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Before I come to that, the labor expert, Mr. Austin, made some submission that I want to address quickly. The establishment of the teaching hospital or the Ghana Health Services is guided by its Establishment Act. Particular reference to 37(1) that all members of the board will be appointed by the president in consultation with the Council of State. If we refer that to the fore, that is where they are saying that if there should be termination, the president must do so in consultation with the Council of State. This is where we are saying that has not happened. Did you get it? That's why we are saying that it did not follow due process. We are not saying the president does not have the right, or if his right was delegated to a sector minister to do so. But we are saying that due process was not followed. Now, political access.
So walk us through what due process would be.
The due process by the Act says that the president should do so in consultation with the Council of State, which has not happened. Okay, has not happened. The last time we had a discussion on this yesterday morning with the member of Tamale, Honorable Suhini, he attributed what has happened to coincidence, the sacking of the CEO. So the Council of State has not consulted, or the President has not consulted with the Council of State. That is established. That's why we are saying that due process was not followed. Now, back to your question, political access, we have a very huge role to play. I mean, healthcare delivery, healthcare financing, doctors and other people within the health fraternity who are approved, but there's an absolute power invested in the administrators or the executive to provide the necessary things that will make their work very good for them. So we are saying that they are challenged. Every health system is challenged. We don't have a health system anywhere in the world that does not have challenges. Peculiarly to Tamale Teaching Hospital, water is a very huge issue. Electricity. And almost every facility that appeared before the Parliamentary Select Committee for the year 2025, this year, before the budget was passed, all of them had issues, not directly related to health. You mentioned their IGF is using the IGF. Do you know that their IGF is capped? The IGF is capped. The non-mechanization of several staff, because they need them. They employ these casual workers who are not mechanized, and they pay half of their IGF. So all we are saying is that based on the Abuja Declaration, which directs all member states to spend 15% of their budget, annual budget on health, we must try to get to that level. Because this 2025 budget is only 9%, represents just 9% of the national budget. So a lot of resources need to get to the health facilities for the delivery of health. And even before they get that, we have to have discussions on a more network interaction. As for the tank and the heart we have, they're not going to take from anywhere. So we are saying that let's sort off, let's discuss, let's find a midpoint Because, truth be told, healthcare givers go through a lot in a day.
I think I get your point. Sweetie will come in shortly because we have to have other interactions as well. But the point I was trying to make, should we have an administrative setup where these appointments are made devoid of political entanglements? That is what I'm trying to find out.
It is because it has a board that has institutional representation. Okay, so, and the Council of State is not political. I don't even know how I mean, Council of State is not political. That is why the framers of the law said that the president, who is political, should consult the non-political actors, who is the Council of State.
Well, let's bring in, thank you. Dr. Jiman, please stay with us. Don't go yet. Dr.
No, I have to. You know, the meeting is at 9.
Okay, so Dr. Makuri Nawani is online with us. So just in a minute, we will let you go. So he is a chairman of the Health Committee of Parliament. Doc, thank you for joining the conversation. And I'm sure you've been following the conversation to this point. What do you make of everything that's coming in so far?
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to the viewers of Joy TV and say that what the nation is going through now is unfortunate. It is a situation where we must have cool heads. There is a period that when you are angry or you move from the rational to the irrational, but after some time you recover. And so both sides at this stage, I believe that they are in the recovery process, and we can sit down and talk, and then all these things that have been taken, there's a period that you can turn them around and then decide, yes. What is the next thing?
Right. As
there
chairman
is no
of the
crying over spilled milk, yeah.
Dr. Market Nawani, as chairman of the Health Committee of Parliament, what is your strategy here? Because patients' lives are in danger if doctors do not return back to the hospitals. What's your strategy to ameliorate the situation?
Yes, at this stage, the Health Committee, as a body, we want to be part of the solution of this impasse. And I know that if they continue or the process continues, it might even get to our doorstep, where as one of the ways of getting the solution, the speaker can be petitioned. When the speaker is petitioned, you definitely refer it to the Health Committee. And so we don't want to take sides so much on some of these issues for now. We are appealing to the Ghana Medical Association, and we are appealing to the workers at the Tamil Teaching Hospital to take a second look at their decision, because they are like this party, I know, yes, but they have to take into consideration the type of work that they have agreed to do. I've been practicing for 32 years as a medical practitioner, and strike action will be something of a last resort.
Dr. Nawani.
And not necessarily the immediate tool to try to get things done.
Dr. Nawani, you speak of industrial actions being a last resort. I made mention of the Hippocratic Oath a short while ago. So there are the requirements on medical professionals, including the medical doctors. But how about the minister, the sector minister as well? I've heard you say you don't want to apportion blame, but do you feel the actions so far have been justified in terms of relieving the CEO of his position, which has led to this, reaction from them who say they will not undertake certain critical services?
I've had the opportunity to work with the current minister as his deputy ranking for, I think, for a period of about 4 years. And he is somebody who I must say that before he takes decisions of such or going around, we need to go around as the minority health team. He does a lot of homework, and he takes his time to really draw up a plan of movement. What happened at the Tamil Hospital? Like I'm saying, it appears that something went overboard. And as a professional, I'm not also very enthused about what happened, but I believe that...
Are you saying the minister went overboard? Is that what you're saying?
It's not the minister. It takes two to tangle. Remember that you look at the way they started. Look at the way things appear to be going well, and look at the final outcome. Because whenever we go around, currently, yesterday I was at the Burgos Regional Hospital, we're doing some rounds over there. In fact, we wanted to come out as a committee with some of these issues that are lacking at the various hospitals, and to even call the Minister of Health and his senior manager to a meeting so that we can discuss these issues at the hospital. It is normal to hold or to converse with the people who are working, who are at post. Whenever I entered a ward, I spoke with the nurses there. It is normal to do that, yes. And it is also normal to even speak to patients who are around the facility, just to get a first-hand information of what is happening. Yes. So what he was doing was not necessarily wrong, but like I'm saying that something happened.
Okay, yes. Just clarity on this.
The outcome has not been as probably we expect, or as probably I know my minister very well would have wished that it ended. I don't think he is also happy that it ended that way.
Right. I don't think the intention with his going there and the member of parliament, I don't think either one of them would have wanted it to get to where it did. So I can understand from the minister and the MP's end and from the CEO and the health professionals' end. But just quickly on this point, though, do you think due process has been followed in all of this? Because even where there are egregious, actions that deserve punishment, due process must be followed. Was due process followed? You have over 30 years of experience in this. Was due process followed?
In my opinion, it appears two things are being mixed up. But it happened that, like I'm saying, that it did not end as was expected. The issue with the CEO and the on-the-ground inspection and trying to get first-hand information. And people are now being mixed up. Like they came in, and then because of what happened, the CEO has been his appointment has been terminated.
I think the minister clarified that. He spoke.
I'm thinking that two things are being mixed up here.
No, the minister spoke and he clarified that. He said that it wasn't on the back of that interaction and that there had been
precedents that had, already been in the fray, but then upon that as well, certain actions had to be taken. So I think that one is clear for us. I was only asking about, those actions specifically and whether due process is being followed in all of it, because we've been told about where this must go to, what committee must sit and review this and that. In fact, the minister himself spoke about a committee reviewing for about 2 weeks. That's what we're addressing, not that instance per se. But from where you sit, just moving forward, what should we expect so that the people of Tamale and its surrounding communities can receive health care without interruption? What should we expect?
Yeah, there are two issues that probably we need to consider. One aspect is the town of Tamale itself, the problems that exist, and how the hospital can be insulated from the problems that are there. If you talk of the water, if you talk of the electricity, etc., these are issues that are in Tamale, and then they need to find a way of insulating the hospital from these problems.
All right.
Then comes the internal problems of the hospital. And I must say that yesterday when I was at the Border Regional Hospital, I did not mince words to say that, look, back in Canada and other countries, before you take over the administration of a hospital these days, you are supposed to have an MBA with specialization in healthcare management. You are supposed to be thinking of how to make money. Whenever I speak like this, they tell me that they are supposed to be providing services and not making money. But the two things are necessary. And we know that the charges that are there, and we know what the patients and then the NHIA are paying. And we can compare as we move from one hospital to the other. And we know that, no, this hospital, their IGF is on the lower side. And so we expect that they should be orientated well. People who are running hospitals should be orientated well.
Right. Okay.
Yes, to take good care of their money and use their money to help solve the internal problem.
All right. Dr. Market Nawani, thank you for joining us. He's Chairman, Health Committee of Parliament. And because the situation concerns the people in Tamale, we want to take you live there. Martina Bugri is on grounds for us and wants to show us the situation as we speak this morning. Martina, if you can hear me, take it away.
Good morning. I'm currently at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, and you can see in the background, people have come this morning from far and near to attend to the hospital. But as we speak now, there's no doctor around. What I was told earlier on with my engagement with some authorities, I was told that the hospital is holding an emergency meeting this morning with the doctors to try to work out something so that people can have access to health care this morning. As we speak now, those who have come early, I spoke to someone, she said she came from far, and she came as early as 6 o'clock. It's almost 9, and they are yet to receive treatment. Most people who have come in, those who can afford or who can look for substitutes, others have left. But as we speak now, yes, we have long queues here, but no doctor available yet.
What about nurses? Are they helping out?
Yes, so the nurses are attending to the patients, the necessary procedures that they are supposed to go through before they can see the doctors, they are being done. You come to the OPD, people go there, they take their cards, they come, either their weight, their temperature and vitals are taken. But they are directed to sit at where normally you would sit and go into the consulting room to see a doctor. And so after those procedures, they come and they line up at the place designated for consulting with the doctor. So as we speak now, most people go through and they end up at that point. At that point, there's no one yet to receive them.
Martina, patients who have come to the hospital, did they know that the doctors are on strike, or they came oblivious of the fact that there's industrial action ongoing?
Most of them did not know that there was a strike action declared. Some got here and got to know that, yes, there's a strike action. Some also said they heard it, but they were hoping that the decision would have changed by the time they get here this morning. And so that's what's happening now at the Tamale Teaching Hospital.
Beyond that, I mean, what have been the reactions? I know some of the people may not have been aware of what was going to happen, but what's the general sentiment there, at least from those who are coming to seek medical attention?
Much as they appreciate that the doctors have an issue, they were also hoping that at least for humanity's sake, they would attend to them once they understand that they have a pledge to take care of patients when the need arises. They are hoping that at least they will come to a compromise with the management, and then they will begin work as soon as possible. Now, I have also been trying to speak to the doctors group, and I'm told that currently what they are doing is their national body has taken over communication. Any communication concerning the group in Tamale here would have to be directed to
Martin Abugri there, doing us the honors from the northern region, the Tamale Teaching Hospital, to be specific. And we're grateful. I think we get the thrust of everything she's had to say
Hopefully,
so far.
No casualties.
Hopefully not.
No casualties will be recorded. Hopefully. We can only keep our fingers crossed and hope that the doctors return to post. That takes us on a quick break. When we return, more action on the Ben and Sweetie Show.
Welcome back on the AM show. We take you to Boko now, where the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Lawrence Kweku Betanu, has visited the area, asking the feuding factions to work collaboratively, closely with the security agencies to restore peace in that area. We asked this morning what the significance of this visit would be, what it would mean to the peace process. Joining us for a conversation, we have Albert Sori. He's our correspondent on the beat. Albert, first off, we'd like to find out what exactly the situation is on the ground in respect of this visit.
Yes, Ben. So for some time now, there haven't been any major disturbances since the last ones, the last issues we had about 2 weeks or so ago. So he was on an official visit. He said that this was his first visit to the Upper East region and to Boko since he assumed office as Chief of the Army Staff. So he was there to see the security situation for himself, and also to, look at all the outposts, the military outposts that they have in that area, looking at everything that has been happening. We know that sometime not too long ago, a military officer was killed, and so he used the opportunity to also visit some of the soldiers who have been assigned in Boko, to speak to them, to encourage them, and to motivate them to continue doing their work. There's also, the part where he visited the Boko Naba at his palace together with his elders. And this was where the Chief of the Army Staff appealed to the traditional authorities to speak to the youth, to also work collaboratively with the security agencies in their efforts to restore peace to the area. But one of the things that the Chief of Army Staff said, which, is worthy of note, is the fact that he has said that from this time onwards, any attack civilians or the military will be considered to be an act of extremism, in his own words, and the military will respond to any such act with all the force that they have. And this was in a media briefing that he had after his tour of Boko yesterday.
All right. So on the ground, has this brought any calm
as far as the populace is concerned, as far as both factions are concerned? What has been their response? And I asked that question on the back of the IGP's visit. You remember when the IGP paid a visit to them, there were some altercations afterwards with even that shot at his convoy. What was the response after the Chief of Army Staff paid the visit to that community?
So the traditional authority in Boko were pleased with his visit. And in fact, the sub-chiefs under the Boko Naba took the opportunity, and each of them told him the issues they have. One of them has to do with the fact that sometimes the military are a bit, high-handed in their dealings with civilians. Sometimes there is too much intimidation. And so they were calling for the chief of the army staff to, talk to his men to desist from all these high-handed way of dealing with the civilians. There was also the Binduri chief, for instance, who was commending the military for all the work that they have done in his area. He said that there were some disturbances recently, and he had heard that some arrests have been made with the help of the military. And so he was using the opportunity to commend them and to continue doing their work. Now, for many people, this is reassuring, but also you get the sense that time and time again, there have been all these assurances and speeches from politicians and sometimes the security agencies. And just as you said, it doesn't take long before disturbances occur in the area. So many are hoping that, the words from the Chief of Army Staff are not just, words, but words that will be followed with action, just as he promised to do.
Albert, we're grateful that you've walked us through what is happening on the ground. Albert Torre is our Upper East regional correspondent. Let's now have an analyst on these issues, Dr. Victor Doki, who joins the conversation. Dr. Doki, good morning.
Good morning to you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. The Chief of Army Staff, Major General Gbetanu, has served a word of caution while he's calling for collaboration, which will hopefully yield peace. He also has some strong words. He says, I'll serve a word of caution to all, especially those fomenting the trouble in Boku, that their days are getting numbered. Any attack on innocent civilians or any military personnel will be considered an act of extremism and will be met with deliberate full strength. Note, deliberate full strength and resolve of our forces. How do you react from this standpoint to the visit of the Chief of Army Staff?
Thank you very much. Before I get to the main question, now let's look at the number of times we've had the security chiefs visit the area. And then let's take a look at the wordings of their press relations or whatever you want to call it. Now, it's been somewhat of, yes, we want peace, lay down your weapons, and then collaborate. And then afterwards, what do we do? Now, the main objective of the security forces is to enforce the curfew, to ensure that the two sides do not clash. The military or security apparatus plays a role with regards to conflict resolution, but is not the lead focal person or agency when it comes to addressing a conflict such as this. Now, any chief can go in there, military chief or police chief, security chief for that matter can go in there and then appeal. That is what is happening. It is only to appeal to the two sides to lay down their weapons. And I'm even beginning to think that we need to stop using the aspect of lay down your weapons. With what intent? How about surrender your weapons? Because then you're looking at addressing a conflict, and then when we say lay down your weapons, with the intent of what? Using them again or what exactly? So surrender your weapons. I think this is the language we need to speak henceforth. Now, the main objective of the security chief is to, one, whip up morale of his men. Coming to the wording, I wish and only can appeal to the security chiefs to be mindful of such wordings. It only aggravates tensions. It only angers some aspect of this conflict. Some, people who are not happy with the way so far the security apparatus has dealt with issues, i.e. accusations, allegations about supporting one faction against the other. Okay, we all know that as at this time, there are criminal elements in there taking advantage of the situation. Are we looking at how we can collaborate well with the people? We are talking about community collaboration. If you don't have the collaboration of the community to identify those who are causing the criminal, i.e. attack on the security personnel themselves, our intelligence may not ascertain the fact. So
Dr. Doki, a quick intervention. What aspect of the wording is problematic, especially considering that we've had the attacks on the police and the military as well in recent times? I want you to situate what exactly you find unsavory in the communication.
Right. Now, with an area where two sides have taken entrenched positions and tensions are very high, any statement made without recourse for a major objective of addressing the main issue itself will not be taken seriously by the youth groups in there. Now, you would wish, or I would wish, that we know that certain criminal elements have taken advantage. So then, if we have concrete evidence, concrete intelligence that there are a group of people in there perpetrating these crimes, those aspects of the word will be taken off. And then you will wish an operation will be conducted to arrest these people. But then now it means every word that we speak in that aspect is generalized without targeting. It is good in that way, but then this has happened before. We've had army chiefs, police chiefs go in there and then speak the same language without a positive result. On the back of that, there needs to be something that needs to be done urgently. And that's what I'm talking about, the community collaboration. They know who is in town. They know those who are perpetrating these crimes. How about we look at that aspect also, and not only the wording?
But if you're talking of, what do you say then suggests intelligence? And I believe our security officials are on the ground and trying as much as possible to get the intelligence they can to deal with this impasse. But when he says there will be no safe haven for those choosing violence over peace and unity, he says we'll pursue every individual involved and justice will be served. Mind you, the different factions have played the blame game. And so if you addressed one side, the other side would feel aggrieved about it. So we'll pursue every individual involved. Justice will be served. Then he mentions what you have just said. Lay down your arms, return to the path of peace. Your future does not lie in bloodshed, but in building, learning, and growing your country. In the end, you are proffering some advice, but what would be the next move for you? If you were the Chief of Army Staff, what would be your next move? Dr. Doki, are you with me? If you're with me, you would have to unmute.
How I can relate better with the community. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I think there's an interjection. So what I'm talking about is, now what I would do differently is how to get the youth groups involved. I think we are neglecting the aspect of the youth. Get the youth group.
I believe
working together with the community. The Boko Ethnic Peace Committee is very, very much a tool which we can rely on in this critical moment. Because trust me, these committee members know every inch of the area and can relate better to the youth. So if I go in there and I make a general statement, it is heard. But then it may not trickle down to the grassroots as we want it to. So we are neglecting a very major fundamental aspect, which is important with regards to community engagement. Get the committee involved in as much as you can. And then let's start speaking the language of surrendering your weapons rather than lay them down.
I see. What then would be your expectations of the Otumfuo, say, to the 2nd, when it comes to mediating the situation and bringing lasting peace to Boku? On the 28th of this month, part of those processes will be initiated. What are your expectations?
Well, I'm expecting that, first of all, the two sides that have taken entrenched positions will come to terms and agree on recommendations and action plans with regards to the roadmap. It will not be easy. It will be challenging, especially from one faction who wants to attain an objective of getting the skin. Now, we need to ensure that every stakeholder that has to play a role would do it diligently. I use the word diligently because then an implementation of the roadmap can even inflame, violence. It can even, reenact violence that we've never experienced before. The aspect of using the eminent king is very right. Now, the only thing that matters is he would come out with what he thinks is best, based on advice from those he's working with. The rest is for those stakeholders implementing, state agencies. And here I talk about the National Peace Council, the National House of Chiefs, all the security apparatus, CSOs. It is very critical that implementing the recommendations will be done in a manner that the two sides will not feel that neutral stakeholders that have some trust, that trust will not be broken. Now, let's look at the aspect of the law and justice. If the eminent chief, puts in there that the aspect of justice with regards to those who are arrested and evidence have been found of perpetrating crimes, the law should deal with them. We shouldn't have a tradition coming in between the law. That will not serve well. That will be injustice on some part of, the people who have felt that person A, B, and C have killed a family member and they should face the law and they are walking about. We need to be very careful in that aspect too. And by and large, I'm hoping that whatever that comes out will be implemented, and the two sides, it depends on the two sides, who I know will not be forced to take up any issue, but they themselves will be willing to give out strategies or opinions, suggestions that they themselves have alone agreed to. Right. For the king to facilitate, or stakeholders to facilitate for them to achieve peace in Boku.
Dr. Doki, I'm grateful for your time.
Thank you very much.
We can only pray for that lasting peace, not just for Boku, but for all of us, because if there's peace there, there's peace everywhere in Ghana, hopefully. Dr. Victor Doki is a security analyst. But before we cap off this conversation, let's pay attention to part of what the Chief of Army Staff had to say on this matter.
However, serve a word of caution to all, especially those fomenting the trouble in Boku, that their days are getting numbered. Any attack on innocent civilians or any military personnel will be considered as an act of extremism and will be met with the deliberate full strength and resolve of our forces. There will be no safe haven for those who choose the path of violence. We will pursue every individual involved and justice will be served. We will urge the youth, lay down your arms and return to the path of peace. Your future does not lie in bloodshed, but in building, learning, and growing your country. Choose dialogue over distraction and unity over division. The Ghana Armed Forces will leave no stone unturned to come after armed elements, no matter their status or colorization. Accordingly, I have directed our forces on the ground to undertake deliberate and targeted special operations to search, locate, and retrieve all unauthorized weapons in the possession of the civilian populace, aside other planned operations. On this note, I highly commend the sacrifices of our gallant soldiers and personnel, and then the other security services that are making to ensure a peaceful environment in the area. I urge the personnel to continue discharging their duties with utmost dedication and professionalism for a just cause. God and Allah bless and guide us to overcome. Thank you very much.
And that was the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Lawrence Kweku Betanu there. Well, we'll be heading into our next conversations. We'll be finding out what the Ghana Meteorological Agency will tell us when it comes to the rains and what to expect, as well as Big Chef and what we can expect on that. But before we take that break, it's an exclusive Easter sales promotion happening now in all CompuGhana branches. From now till the 30th day of April, you get up to 50% off when you buy top brands like LG, Samsung, TCL, HP, Lenovo, Tecno, Infinix, ITEL, and many more. You can win an 85-inch smart TV, iPhones, laptops, juicers, rice cookers, and so much more. So, shop for your laptops, printers, mobile phones, television sets, air conditioners, home theaters, fridges, and many more from that entity. With a minimum of 1,000 Ghana cedis purchase, you can enter into the draw by simply texting your invoice number to the special short code. The raffle draw is on the 2nd of May, so shop online at www.compughana.com or visit any of our showrooms. The call number 0302 752 020. On WhatsApp 0243 143 143. We'll be back with more action shortly.
Joshua, thank you for joining the conversation. If you can hear me, please unmute.
Yes, I can hear you. Thanks for having me.
Great. So, like I said, we want to find out the latest updates from GMET in terms of the recent rains we've seen. Should we be expecting more? What's the latest?
Yes, also, we are in the rainy season, and so obviously we could expect more rainfall. Areas in southern Ghana are in the major rainfall season, and that's expected to last until somewhere in July before we go for the minor, what we call the short dry season or lesser dry season, and we go into the minor rainfall season. The north is yet to get into the peak of the rainfall season in that area, and so for all areas in the county, we are now at the onset of the rainy season, which means we should expect more rains in the coming months.
All right, let's bring it down to the next few days. Should we expect some heavy winds, storms? What precautionary measures should we be taking into consideration as we go about our daily lives?
All right, so one thing that always characterizes the start of the rainy season is that the rains we get at the beginning of the season are usually ones that come with strong winds, some thunder, and then lightning flashes as well. And so for this month, into the month of May, because we see a lot of sunshine, the rains we get are the convective kind of rainfall. So they come with these thunder and strong winds. And so once you see clouds gathering in your area, the best thing is to seek shelter in an area where you think is safe, so that if there's windy conditions associated or there's thunder and lightning flashes, so you'll not be exposed so much and at the risk of those things, those hazards. Also, we should be very careful with our planning. We should try as much as possible to add weather forecasting in our planning processes. Most of the time when we leave home, we don't really care what is going to happen in terms of weather. We just leave our homes and go without incorporating weather in our plannings. So if you go to our website, meteo.gov.gh, we have forecast for almost all the locations in the county. So you can get information on your area and how the day will look like, so that you can plan your day accordingly and you'll not be found wandering in any of these instances where lightning flashes or thunder or rainfall has to distort your activities.
Now, finally, we know that climate is changing, and as we enter the rainy season, like you said, is this just something the normal rainy season we're used to, or is there anything extraordinary to prepare for?
Well, so from the rainy season, we're actually anticipating normal to above normal rainfall for areas in the eastern coast. That's Greater Accra into the Vorsac region. But other areas will also get normal rainfall. So what we saw was not significantly different from what we usually see. So we are not expecting any different weather conditions during the year. Every year comes with its own variability. So there's not 2 years that are actually identical in terms of weather. You always have differences in there.
but they are not too different. The difference is not that significant to be worried about. I'm not sure it will be anything that will cause any havoc to anyone.
Joshua Samoa, thank you for joining us. That's Senior Forecaster, Ghana Meteorological Agency. And they're saying get familiar with your weather app on your phone and be sure that you are well prepared before you step out. Now, in the studio with me is a very beautiful young woman. I love her to death. Lois Sola Adeyemi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well. Good morning.
Good morning.
Lady in red, you look good.
And lady in black and green. Tell me about Big Chef. What's the latest?
So the latest, we've said over and over again that Big Chef is here. It's the season 4. And we did the audition episode a few weeks ago. We ran it over and over again. And finally, we have a 12 after the long search. You know, we had over 300 videos sent to look through. We watched them. Then we had the audition. And we had over 100 people come for the audition. And then finally, we have a 30. So,
which means it's too late for those who didn't send in their entries.
Unfortunately, you see, when we say something, people have the ability to think we're lying. But yes, the audition happened and we were able to take our final 12. Okay. So we have our 12, but we've been hiding them for a while now.
Time to reveal?
Yeah, time to reveal.
So tell us about the grand reveal.
Yes.
How is it happening? Where is it happening?
It's happening on the 27th of April. Here, right here on Joy Prime. You have to be watching because
you're on Joy News. We know that you're with Joy Prime, but you're on Joy News.
So not on Joy News, but hold on Joy Prime.
Thank you.
Right. It's happening at 4 p.m. You have to tune in to see because trust me, this year our contestants, they're good in the kitchen. We have some gentlemen in there, so hopefully another gentleman whisks the prize away. But yes, it's going to be interesting. We finally get to meet our 12, and the season kicks off from there. So
just to build anticipation, this is the kiddie edition, right?
Yes, junior,
not tertiary. This is junior.
Yes.
And at the end of the competition, if you miss it, what happens to you? So that they don't miss it.
Well, you don't. Let me say this well.
Yeah.
This year we have good cash prizes. We have 10,000 Ghana cedis education fund, and you have 10,000 Ghana cedis for yourself. So a whopping 20,000 Ghana cedis is going to the winner. If you didn't contest, you've just realized what you've lost, right? Because 20,000 Ghana cedis and a lot of cash prizes and also prizes from our sponsors, because we have amazing sponsors on the show would be given to you. So if you do not participate next year, please come and participate because it will be so good. You would get to experience a lot. And you know the amazing part for me?
Tell me, Lois.
When these contestants come, they're very concerned about, how will I speak on TV? By the time it's the third episode, they have some confidence. They have exuded confidence in the kitchen. They can defend their meals. And just come and see a 12-year-old preparing banku and abobitadi. Like,
finger licking good.
I'm telling you.
I was privileged to not just participate, but also observe in other editions. And I know that this is a program that is absolutely worth making a date for. Lois, I'll give you the final word to talk to our audience, to invite them to join you on the 27th of April.
Yes, please. Where's my camera? Yes. Join us on the 27th of April, Sunday. It's happening live at 4 p.m. If you're at home, tell mommy, tell daddy, I want to want Big Chef. I want to see our final 12 contestants, but trust me, they are ready, geared up to show you what they're made of. And hey, they will impress you. So tune in, do not go anywhere. Join us on Sunday at 4 p.m. Okay?
Lois, do you know how to cook?
Yes, I know how to cook.
The last time we cooked, I did the cooking. You didn't do the cooking.
But I did the rice.
You just cut onions in the house.
I didn't do the rice.
Anyway, so thank you so much. We'll leave you with the promo. But when we return, you know that we are going to be picking your calls. Have your say. Yesterday, someone said we spent all the time doing adverts. So here's an ad you should take note of before we get to the promo and have your say. Are you ready to dream, dare, and deliver in the world of IT? Look no further than Jackson Institute of Technology. It is the only NIIT authorized training center in Ghana. At CIT, we provide world-class IT training for individuals and corporate organizations, equipping you with industry-relevant skills in software development, cybersecurity, networking, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, digital marketing, and many, many more. In addition, we offer globally recognized certifications, practical job-ready training, and flexible hybrid learning options, which allows you to study online or on-site. And our expert instructors ensure hands-on learning experiences that prepare you for success in today's digital world. Now, we are located on the Ring Road near Circle in the heart of Accra Central District. And in Kumasi, we are at Jackson Educational Complex headquarters at Ayediase near KNUST. Now, listen, JIT provides easy access for students and corporate clients. So our state-of-the-art auditorium is also available for events, corporate seminars, and training sessions. Give us a call for more information. 059-699-6037 is the number to call, or 055-271-4635. Alternatively, you can visit our website, www.jit.edu.gh. JIT, your gateway to a thriving career. And have your say comes up right after this promo.
This morning, we can only pray that, I guess, in both instances, there's some confusion going on, that there's a resolution. Because if you look at the TTH issue, in the end, the people on the ground just want to receive quality, timely, professional medical care. That's their interest. Sometimes I feel we bring in too many peripheral issues, and the politics sometimes also creeps in. I think we should just do what is right by the minister, by the CEO, by the MP, and let sleeping dogs lie.
It's just a bit worrying to hear that only 5% of the facility can accommodate consultations. And we are all sitting down, twiddling our thumbs and waiting for what to happen. Magic. I just like that at least this strategy, this approach, the surprise visits. I like it so much because many government institutions don't actually do as much work as they're supposed to do. They ought to do, because I am Juma. But I think that takes us to our very first caller. Who do we have online? Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. My name is Bawa. I'm calling from Yendi, actually.
Hi, Bawa. Talk to us. What's on your mind?
Well, you just mentioned a bit about the TTH Bruhaha. We in the North here feel that it's a systemic issue and that has to be solved. If perhaps these doctors are benefiting from the mismanagement or poor management or the lack of it, they need to let the right people do the job and do it well. But to Mr. Ben, I've been following your book club and I would very much like to actually be on it if that is possible.
Okay, so let's interact with. Please hold the line. Interact with the backroom team, and we'll try to see what arrangements can be made. Okay.
That would be great. Thank you.
What's the name again?
Bawa.
Bawa. All right. Thank you, Bawa, for reaching out. You can still call that number 0302-211-691 extension 2, and you are referencing.
I
knew you wouldn't let this go. I just knew you wouldn't let it go.
Why haven't you invited me to your book club, Benjamin Akapo?
The Joy Book Club. Let me see. Let me think about it. Should I invite her?
Of course, they would love to see me on your show, and I'll invite you to Women Power Politics.
And I'll come and talk about what? Women empowerment.
We have another call, I believe. Hi, talk to us. What's your name?
My name is Jack. I'm calling from Tamale.
Hi, Jack. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Jabi is my name.
Oh, right. What's on your mind?
Good morning. Good morning to your team, and then good morning to your listeners. Yeah, please, madam, I would just want to seek permission from your ends, and then I will translate this into my local diary, because I want to engage both the community leaders and then our chiefs within the Tamale Metro and beyond. Related to the Tamale Teaching Hospital issue. We the people, especially in the north, the TTH 76 regions across the Upper East, Upper West, Savannah, Northeast, and the Northern. But the way they are now,
you would have to reposition yourself a bit. We are losing part of what you're saying. I think where you're standing may not be too good. Just reposition yourself and start again.
Okay. Please, I want to speak to my local tariff so that the opinion leaders within the Tamale Metro or the bank enclaves, so that they will know the challenge that we are now facing within the Tamale, especially related to the Tamale Teaching Hospital issue.
Right.
So, Tamale, Ben Sharon, TTH, Dafsamo, Health Minister, the MP, Honorable Swin, the surprise visit, Salma. Nung Kaye to Aina, doctors yele, no Kulantuma, Zanti, Muchibambi, Dagba. The years are the can you so can you report in the Yana? Kayele, Dagba, none of me at Diaphonema, Bibi Senate, TTH Yadian collapses. I challenge money, boom, the winter as well, until the health professionals, when treating patients, you yourself, you lose your temper on them. Because the way Amanda will teach you, indirectly, you don't even know how to even control yourself. What they even seen on that day is just something small. In the absence of the authorities, you will see how the health workers, especially the nurses, and some of the nurses and some of the doctors, if they treat a patient, you will cry.
Right.
So our authorities, especially our chiefs and our imams, especially in the politicians, they should wake up. But I'll give you a scenario. A brother of mine had an accident. That was last month. And he had a leg broke. One of the legs got broken. When we went there and do an inquiry about the surgery, equivalent to 16,000 plus, without medicine, we picked our brother and sent him to Upper West, War Central Hospital. The operation alone takes us 4,400 something Ghana cedis. We were telling the surgery alone costs about 16,000 plus without medicine. We made them go to War and did the surgery. Our brother is now in terminal. He came, that was a day before yesterday. What about somebody who cannot even afford 4,000 to go to War? So please, and then you see, you will not even see a chief or any of our opinions to just pay a surprise visit like the health minister.
Right. Thank you very much.
How they are handled. So please, and
grateful.
So FM, I'm giving a touch. People should monitor the TTH day in, day out, and see how they are treating the patients over there. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. That's been quite a lengthy one, but your point is made, very valid, and we pray that the right things are done so that the people can benefit. Don't forget the AM show is sponsored by Waylead Properties. They provide quality housing at an affordable cost. We're still active. Our phone lines are still active. If you'd like to call 0302-211-691 extension 2. Sweetie.
We have Alhaji with us online. Alhaji, good morning.
Good morning.
Where are you calling us from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Tamale. I'm a native from Tamale, but I work in Anka.
All right. Talk to us, Alhaji.
Yeah, and what I've seen in Tamale is that I've been lucky to work in the hospital some time ago as an assistant, a technician. I was introduced to it. So what I've noticed there is that if too politically intensive there, we honest with you. But when they bring fellows to come streamline everything, they don't type them again. So the minister and then the MP, Common North, they didn't handle the thing well. They were in hush. They should have taken them time, and then they could see that things are not going well there. But they shouldn't have acted this way. Now you've acted this way, you created another problem. And to attest with you, I am not blaming anybody. I'm blaming three people in the region: the politicians, the chiefs, and then the indigenous, those matters in the region. They are the people that blame. They are all playing politics in this. When they come down and then put their heads together.
Okay.
In fact, it wasn't so like this. Those days, Thomas Teaching Hospital wasn't like this. In the life of Dr. Mumu, it wasn't like this.
All right. Thank you for those thoughts shared with us. And we're very happy, in fact, that a lot of you are calling from the Tamale enclave and sharing your thoughts on this matter. And I'm hoping that those who matter are listening and that the requisite actions will be taken.
We have our last caller online with us. Good morning. Tell us your name and what's on your mind.
Calling from Tamale.
Okay. Talk to us.
Yes. It seems the whole situation, people are trying to play politics, do certain things, and they are not looking at the systemic issues that is there. And they've taken out the traditional leaders, taken out the politicians, and everybody. Look, I've been in Tamale for almost getting to 30 years. And I can tell you that TTH, yes, people are blaming the nurses, the doctors, forgetting that the opinion leaders, the chiefs, don't allow people to work there. If they want to crack the whip, they run to the chiefs, the politicians, and tell them. And when they tell them, they call for the head of the CEO, they call for the head of doctors, they call for the head of nurses. Why will they do that? Why will opinion leaders or chiefs be intervening in the appointment of CEOs?
All right. Thank you so much for calling. And that's all that time will allow for Have Your Say. Remember that the AM show is sponsored by Waylead Properties, providing quality housing at affordable costs with flexible payment options. If you've been following us for a while, you know on Mondays and Thursdays when we wrap up the AM show, we leave you with something then.
Well, coming up next, Ghana Grows Changing Narratives is brought to you by the MasterCard Foundation in collaboration with the Springboard Roadshow Foundation. And that's the way we cap off the AM show this morning. And the sweetie Abochi and...
I'm Benjamin Akakbo. We're back on your screens tomorrow. But do stay for News Desk after Ghana Grows.